Hi there, how you doing? Welcome to twitch.tv/1030. I am 1030. Let's just make sure the bubble gum is bubble gum. I think that's a type of weed. The bubble gun is primed. I think we're all good to go. Hello, I think we're all good to go. This is us going. Welcome. What's even happening? So, what's on the agenda today? I'll tell you. Thanks for asking. Last night, who was in last night? Last night, we had a wonderful time. Look here. Hello, Sean Hancock Photo Film. How you doing? Last night, I got right deep into this PlayStation 1. Right? And we modified it, and I finished it, but I've not tested it yet. I've not tested it. And for all I know, this childhood PlayStation 1 might be irreparably damaged, and I'm a wee bit concerned about that, let me tell you. So, today we're going to test it, but basically I modified it, right? So, typically with a PlayStation, your game's on a disc, you fuck a disc in, you power it on, it reads the game off the disc. However, in my old PlayStation, which is wonderful in every other respect, the disc drive broke, so it could no longer read discs. So what's the bloody use of that? So instead of replacing the disc drive, I replaced it with an SD card reader, which means that if I load up an SD card with all the games that I legally own, they are legal backups of games that I already own, and this is perfectly legal within the laws of my world. And it means that you can run games off of an SD card. So that's kind of cool, isn't it? But I don't know if it's worked. It was a compulsion that I had last night. It's the sort of project that might have been good. Like, see if my head was into numbers and doing Twitch properly as a business and all of that, it would have been a fun project to document during the day and a daytime stream, but I thought, no, I'll start at 10:30 last night. We were going to about 2, weren't we? Who was in last night? We were going to about 2 in the morning. And so I managed to close it all up. I've not put all the screws on yet, because just in case I fucked it. So what I'm going to try and do is like somehow connect this PlayStation up to one of these tiny televisions here. Not that one, but maybe this one, right? And I think that's the best way of me showing you if it's worked or if it hasn't worked. So I'm looking forward to that. I am, though, still feeling a wee bit peaky. I'm just up. Don't know if you can tell, but I'm not feeling my freshest just now. And it's so bloody muggy, and it is so hot, man. I can't even think right. Two crooked fingers. Hiya, how's it going? Didn't we do this yesterday? No fan, I hope. We did do this yesterday, but this is like part 2 of 2. Also, I think it'll only take a wee 5 minutes. Basically, I want to plug it in. I want to test it. If it works. If it doesn't work, I might diagnose it. We can maybe then get into all of that. But if it does work, the next step is to then put lots of ROMs on an SD card. And I think that step is a step too far in Twitch's eyes. I don't think Twitch would take too kindly to me, like, taunting ROMs live on stream. So, success today will look like a menu screen. I think a menu screen. We'll see how it goes. And if all of this works good, I will box up the PlayStation, stick it under the telly, and it means that Rachel and I can play every PlayStation game in the world ever that I've legally purchased. Only backups of ones that I've legally purchased ever in the world ever, including Japanese ones and ones I've not even heard about and stuff like that. So, that'll be kind of cool. But I was a wee bit intimidated about the solder job. See, just lifting the pins on a couple of the chips and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know. But smashed it. Absolutely smashed it. I hope. I think I've done everything right. but we will find out when we plug it in and see if any magic smoke gets released, or to see if it goes bang. Skywatcher77, how you doing? Glaswegian, how you doing? SSRIs, Pedropolis, Rye3D, how you doing? Terrible Clint. Europol, Pedropolis and Rhinoceros, how you doing? Perry's, thanks for chatting next to each other so that it looks as if I'm rhyming. Sean Hancock Photo Film, how you doing? Roll Duke, Guitar Link, Skywatcher, Stephen Hampton and Pablo Diablo. Yes, it's Bland, how you doing? Did you dream of PS1 games? No, what did I dream of? I dreamt about being in the presence of somebody that wasn't quite had all their faculties. So they're trying to make a cup of tea and they're accidentally going to pour a boiling water on me, and I'm like, whoa, you need a wee bit of help? And they're like, oh, sorry. So I don't know what I was dreaming about. I was maybe like helping somebody. Don't know, almost like a carer. 2 wee seconds. What? I've got my autism trousers on today, folks. It's a special day. I'm feeling festive. I'm playing with my original childhood PlayStation 1. I've put the autism trousers on. Fuck it. How you doing, Sean Hancock? So, at the start of my stream, what I like to do is share any good news, big or small, any good news. Do you have good news? If so, I'd like to hear it. My good news is that I had a fun time on my PlayStation last night. I had a fun wee stream for the Loft, and I've not had a stream for the Loft in a long time, and it's made me feel good about Twitch again, even if I did accidentally call Llama Chan a cunt. I think all of that's fine. It was Llama's fault anyway. I think all of that's fine. So that's my good news. If you've got any good news, tell us what it is. Husey says, class, I've always wanted to see an OG copy of Tomb Raider 3. Could you fetch the box for us? Husey, no, the box is actually in my vault. See, that's one of the good things about backing up video games, is when you back them up, you can put like the original ones that you legally own, like in a vault, to make sure, you know, bad boys don't come over and scratch them up and cover them with jam and stuff. So, no, you can't see it, Husey, but I'm sure there's pictures on the internet if you want to look on the internet for that. But thanks very much, excellent question. But that's quite exciting. That's quite exciting. It was very cool having you on the big telly when we did Legos. Thanks, Jungle Pop. Sorry if I said anything bad about Lego last night. Nothing wrong with that, surely. That's funny. I mean, that's good. Hello, Aditya, how you doing? Jungle Pop, Mellowed Coffee, how you doing? Everybody, if I say hello. Rye3D, Funkle Albert, how you doing? Are you doing good? Toshkin. I put all mine in a vault too. Toshkin and I is the same vault. It's PS1 vault. Basically, you pay monthly and it's fine. I was lurking last night and howling at that. I hope it's... I felt a wee bit bad about it in the light of day. I hope it's all alright. I'm sure it is. Let's find out if Llama comes in or not. Good news. I spent the morning getting dressed up like a Jacobite, and I'll hopefully get to fuck up some horrible redcoats on a telly show soon. That's fucking cool, Rhinoceros. I want to get any Dane Hings like that. That's brilliant. Sean Hancock says, good news, I finished building a shed and insulating it. So now I have a studio again after being kicked out of the old one. Amazing. How good is just having a place to work? It's on like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Incredible. Chameleon says, all of my N64, Mega Drive and Dreamcast games are in a loft as well. Aye. Yep. I would like to sell all of mine. But it's just the effort, the sheer effort of like moving boxes and having to deal with eBay customers and all of that sort of stuff. Honestly though, says Toshkin, it's why I did start looking into NFC tech, launching my backups. I was getting worried about wear and tear on my cart tapes and discs. Aye. The only two consoles that I'm really interested in, nostalgia-wise, are the Mega Drive and the PlayStation 1. So for the Mega Drive, I got the EverDrive cartridge, which means that I can put all the games on a cartridge. and then use original hardware to launch the games. And it's just the best. It's the best. So for the PlayStation, that's me now done that for the PlayStation. And any other games console, like I've got other games console, I've got Amigas here, Commodore 64. No, I don't have Amigas. I've got Commodore 64s, SNESes, Nintendo 64, lots of Spectre. I've got a Spectrum of Spectrums. Other things, Atari 2600, about 4 more other Mega Drives, a PS2. But all of them, I don't really care about. I do care about Mega Drives and the PlayStation. So it's kind of cool that, like, if you were to tell childhood me, see when you grow up, you're going to have every Mega Drive game in the world that you legally own, right? And, right, every PlayStation game that's ever been made in the entire world ever that you legally own. Right. So that's a big deal, man. I feel pretty good about that. Jai Hardy, how you doing? Thanks very much for subbing. Did I say thanks? Jai Hardy, did you get a bubble blast? I don't think you had a bubble blast. Did you get a bubble blast, Jai Hardy? And Two Crooked Fingers, thank you once again for the sub welcoming. You did. Good. You could have scammed your way into like a second freebie bubble blast there, so thanks very much for your honesty. Dearie me. I was surprised to see the value of old PS1 games on eBay, even the obvious ones. Dear or not dear, I don't have a lot of PS1 games. I've got Mega Drive games, a lot of Spectrum games, but nobody wants Spectrum games. A couple of N64 ones, a couple of SNES ones, but mainly Mega Drive ones. I really regret selling my Amiga. See if I could get an Amiga. I've got more love for the Amiga than I do for any of the sort of other category group. Commodore 64s and all that sort of stuff. You're a model viewer? You are a model viewer. Thank you very much. Listen, Jai Hardy in chat there is an excellent example of how to be a good viewer. So listen, all the rest is buck up and learn for the best. Thanks. But Toshkin, that would be a good idea. See, like the Mega EverDrive. I was looking into see, because I've got lots of NFC stickers. I've got tons of NFC stickers all around the studio. So this is a wee sticker that starts my stream stuff. Barely used it. Then I've got like 3 more hidden down here, and I've got a big roll of NFC stickers. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to just stick it, on the inside of a cartridge, and then somehow wave your cartridge over the console, and the console just starts playing the game. But I don't know if one can. So the Mega EverDrive has got a USB port in it. So I think there's some sort of connectivity. But I don't know if you can remotely tell the Mega EverDrive to launch a specific ROM. But if you could, that would be magic, wouldn't it? That would be really cool. 2 wee seconds, I'm going to go and blow my nose. I'm stuffier than what I thought I was. What's up? Hello, how you doing? I'm back. So if you're just joining us, we're plugging a PlayStation in today and checking to see if it works. I'm looking forward to You were talking last night about how autistic kids nowadays don't have the opportunity to open tech up and faff about with it. I saw a project on Instagram last night that sends deliberately broken tech out to kids to mess around with it and instructions to fix it. They were contemplating doing the same for adults. I forgot the name. Keezies, that sounds amazing. That sounds absolutely brilliant. Two Crooked Fingers says, good news, my pal has just started up a radio station. I have a regular show we'll shamelessly promote as and when. Amazing. That's great. I will tune in. You thought about multi-streaming to Twitch as well? Like if you're already doing a radio show, although then music and stuff. But I want an Amiga 1200. I had one back in the day. I think it's the only... Although, I don't really... If I had one, it would just sit on a shelf. Back on the Lego, started in 1963, age 6. Now back on it at age 68. Are you 68, Alpine Geordie? Gave my old stuff away when I went to college. How things have changed, absolutely. Well, apparently, if anybody's got any old boxes of Lego, even if it's all chewed up or it's got hairs and stuff in it, the second-hand buy rate for Lego is still ridiculous. I still kind of haven't forgiven my mum for selling my old stinky bucket of Lego that I had when I was a child, because she just didn't know. But I think I could have got maybe a couple £100 for it. Loose Lego, profitable, everybody, definitely. But Alpine Geordie, hiya, how you doing? And welcome in. So I played with Lego for a bit, but it wasn't my thing when I was a child. But I think it's useful for young people. See, just tactile stuff. Like both methods of playing with Lego is useful for people. Like tactile skills, spatial imagination and creative thinking. There's incredible validity and like benefit in following the instructions to build an instruction thing. And there's maybe even more benefit, I would imagine, in just like freestyle Lego building as well. Oh, to be a wee person building Lego. Amazing. Someone released an arcade authentic version of Outrun for the Amiga recently. It's very impressive. That's amazing. Did you ever play Digimon World 1 on PS1? Don't think I did, Zach the Goth. Let me copy paste Digimon World 1. Nah. See, Pokemon and all that sort of stuff, I didn't sort of pass me by when I was a child. I know Digimon isn't technically Pokemon, but you know what? Or is it Bandai? Is Digimon Pokemon adjacent? Anyway, no, I didn't. To answer your question, I did not. I wasn't really into Pokemon and stuff when I was a child. I think if I'd have been born maybe 1 or 2 years later, I would have been in prime Pokemon demographic, but nah, I'm just a bit too old for it to have, for the craze to have been when I would have been at an age to have been receptive for it, and then never get into it later. I've just read that. I've got quite a few PS1 games kicking about. The demo one with Abe's Odyssey. Aye, how good was Abe's Odyssey? You. Keezy says nobody wants Spectrum games. Sobs. Keezy's in chat as a ZX Spectrum developer. Don't know if you found that though, Keezy's. Like, I've got a big case of, you know, all the hits. Full Spectrum games, and 70 pence on eBay, 80 pence on eBay, even though they're older and rarer than a lot of the PlayStation games or Mega Drive games that can go for up to 250 quid. Let's make the Spectrum scarce, and we will all artificially raise the price of Spectrum tapes. You's into it? Mama will do that. Funkle says, hello 1030. Hello Funkle. Funkle here. I know, mate. How do you view your lovely retro consoles with your eyes? Are you using the OSSC and modern screen, or direct into CRT, or some other exciting solution? No exciting solutions for me. Bare minimum solutions for me. Obviously, if I was a wealthy man, I would want to buy a RetroTink 4K, but those are about 750 quid, so they can fucking swivel, because there's not a chance that I'm going to be spending that. This is my main plan, right? See this CRT here? I've put lots of time and effort into making this CRT RGB compliant. And I've figured out a way of having a console displayed correctly, so all the pixels look good and stuff on this CRT, but also having a separate output that feeds into OBS, so I can play while looking at an authentic real TV with zero lag and stuff. But then you, the viewer, can see a nice scan of the thing in OBS. That was my ultimate goal, right? And I got it working, and it was working for about 3 days. And then some other parts of this telly just broke. It was just like, I'm old. So it looks like I need to replace some capacitors on the inside. But that's the end thing, right? Funko, when you were up, you were asking me about a device called a GBS-C that you spotted under my telly. Funko Albert was looking under my telly, and he found this device here, a GBS-C AIO. And when this was working, this did the thing that I needed it to do, right? However, this just stopped working. Again, it was a bit of a pain in the arse, right? Because if I want to play a PlayStation 1 game, that's in a certain format and resolution. If I want to play a NTSC American PlayStation 1 game, that's in a different format and resolution, so you need to configure it differently for that. What if I then unplug the PlayStation, plug in a Mega Drive, and I want to play James Pond Robocod, which is 50Hz PAL? That is a different setting for that. But then maybe what if I want to take out James Pond's Robocod and play Sonic the Hedgehog, which is a universal cartridge, but I want to play it in 60Hz mode? Need to think about all of that pish. And see, for every single one of those changes, you need to get your phone out. You need to connect your phone to a web interface to change the configuration on that, which like just doesn't work, man. You need to like, refresh it. Nah. Alright, wait a wee minute. Is that it? Right, what if I just quit the app and open it again? Shit like that, right? Eventually you get it in. When you change the resolution, if it allows you to, oh, it's great. It works great. It looks amazing. There's no latency. The doubling is all good. You've got bob interlacing. You've got all these settings and it's all brilliant. But changing the settings, which needs to be done every time you change a region or console, is an absolute pain in the arse. Also, I think I had bother with my old Wi-Fi network with this, where my Wi-Fi network was both 2.4G and 5.5. What is the gigahertz? You know what I mean? And because I had a dual band Wi-Fi network, this was having just pish, man. Just all the pish of like, you think this would be the one? You know what I mean? It is shite in terms of how to change all the stuff. And it was so off-putting that like, I'm not going to play a game. All this crap set, right? So you need to plug that bit in first. You need to switch that onto this, to that, to that, to this. And then, one day, when I changed the setting of the game, it would just come up saying, oh, error, flagrant error, don't know, error. So I spent about 2 days when I was severely depressed in the past couple of months trying to diagnose these errors. So I've replaced the ESP32 that was in it, or is it an ESP8266? I reflashed it and replaced it. In fact, the old one is here. Old one is right here. I saw it like yesterday. Fuck it. Anyway, I spent a wee bit of work on it, still doesn't work. So I was like, do you know what? In the bin. And instead, I've got some that doesn't quite do the exact same thing, but it's called a Retro Scale 2X. And it's £28, but it doesn't have a SCART input, and I need a SCART input, really. Where's this Retro Scaler 2X? So the Retro Scaler 2X is a cheap Chinese clone of a Retro Tink 2X. All this stuff just requires loads of like reading on YouTube, and then a lot of the YouTubers are being sponsored by some of the things as well. So it's like difficult to figure out what the deal is. So what I was going to do was buy a new GBS-C, but then I bought one of these retro tank things instead. No, a retro scaler instead. And so far it just seems to be sort of working. Friendly advice, how you doing? Welcome in, thanks very much for the sub, how you doing? So, because this telly here doesn't work currently, that's my next thing to fix. When that's fixed, I might consider bringing the Mega Drives and the PlayStations back in here. But I've been planning this project for a long time. And right now, my objective with my Mega Drive and my PlayStation is just to play them on my telly in the living room. I just want to play them on my telly in my living room. Don't want to do all this fancy, sending it to Twitch, all of that pish. Just sit down, 2 joypads, give one to Rachel, and we just sit and play the Mega Drive. That's my goal just now. And I was able to achieve it via lots of fucking about, man. So, even just what cables to use. Oh, God. Do you know the difference between RGB and YPBPR? They're not the same, even though you'd think, oh, they're both component. Like, no, they aren't. And then, so like I've got, for my Mega Drive path just now is out of the Mega Drive into a wee box that I've never seen before. Saw it on eBay once, and it basically allows you to have an S video out of the Mega Drive, which is good enough quality for me. I'm happy with S video for a Mega Drive. Some could argue that the Mega Drive was designed to be viewed with component out because of pixel smoothing and dithering and stuff. So I've got like S video out of my Mega Drive. Looks good, sounds good, brilliant. Via a wee box thing. It cost me about 12 quid. The output of that wee box is going into this retro scaler 2X. Where is it? Like this thing here. Cost me about 20 quid recently, AliExpress. And then coming out of that, HDMI, straight into the telly, that's fine. So, on this box, there is an S-video input over here, that's where the Mega Drive's going in. But then also on this box, we've got red, green, blue RCA connectors. And that's what I'm going to try and put the PlayStation into. And hopefully it's all just going to work and it's all going to be brilliant. But because that's a setup that I'm doing in my living room, I don't really want to stream it. Rachel's working in the living room and stuff the day as well. So, but that's my rough current plan. But it's a big continual work in progress, man. If I was Richie Cashington, then it would all be via one of the Retro Tink 5X boxes. And like maybe everything SCART, and that would be getting fed into like a real Sony Trinitron PVM or BVM. That would be like my ultimate setup. But to achieve that would cost at least $1,000. And here's the deal. I don't even play the Mega Drive. So, this solution that I've got just now, I think is pretty cool. And has been reasonably inexpensive. And there seems to be no sort of trade-off, you know? So this setup doesn't have as many controls and stuff as the GBS-C setups that I was just talking about that I had previously. But it just works. So you can plug it in, switch it on, bang, 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 sit down, you're playing your game without having to like reconnect. Alright, so if I go into my router settings and then switch off the 5G network and then switch that off and turn it back on, get that to connect to the two. Alright, no, right, so it's forgot the credentials, so I need to restart it in access point mode, go into my phone, join that as a Wi-Fi network, then go into the browser and configure the browser there, then restart it, then that will join my actual Wi-Fi network. Then on my phone I go into my Wi-Fi network, open a browser or app, then I can hopefully connect to it, but that sometimes takes a couple of times. Then when I'm connected to it, I need to just shuffle the settings until it works with whatever. Fuck off. With this setup that I've got with the Retro Scaler 2X, Seems to be working fine so far. Is it the best quality that you can get out of Mega Drive? No. But the Mega Drive looks shite, and it's kind of supposed to. You know what I mean? So I don't have like big crisp pixels. But a lot of people argue you shouldn't really have big crisp pixels, because back in the day we never had big crisp pixels. But thanks very much for your question, Funko. Amiga 1200s are costly these days, I can imagine. I sold my Amiga 1200 to buy a Mega CD. Worst decision in my life, man. Also had a massive stinky bucket of Lego. Aye, just stuff spilled in there, bits of food, hair, fur for pets that you can't remember having, stuff like that. Stinky Lego Bucket, excellent username. It is an excellent username. Somebody gift a sub to Stinky Lego Bucket, thanks. SSRI says Lego seems different nowadays. It's so many unique special bits rather than your standard blocks. It's fucking confusing, to be honest. Also, they are changing, which is wonderful. They're moving away from ABS. So ABS is a nasty plastic. People who do any 3D printing will know this, for example. And however, it's got amazing physical properties. That is why Lego bricks are so just uniform and brilliant and consistent and excellent and vibrant and consistent. Did I say consistent? But they're needing to move away from ABS because ABS is just awful, absolutely awful. And so they're moving to a different type of plastic. So even the material they're made out of is going to be changing, if it hasn't already. Abe's Odyssey. We should maybe play Abe's Odyssey on stream. That would be cool. Just a smaller Lego set and try to produce stop motion with my microgreens. Just messing around. That's class. That's brilliant. Is there like... I'm surprised there hasn't been... I know obviously there's Lego video games. And then there is third-party Lego CAD designers. But I'm surprised there hasn't been an official Lego... Maybe there has. Like building sandbox, basically, where you could just go in on the computer. Oh, I'm not feeling great today, folks. I'll keep going. I want to see if my PlayStation is working. Sandy Bogrel, how you doing? I don't know, games-wise. Need to get Wipeout a wee bash. Fuck, let's get the Wii on. The Wii is much easier to hook up to your telly. Much easier. HDMI, bang. Aye, Funkle Albert get right in about my telly. Like that. Is that a GBSC you've got there? Aye, right. I'm kidding on. It was wonderful having you over. I want to get everybody back up again. It was great. Aye, they're temperamental, and the changes between hertz and the menu of the games can be a pain. Aye, well, Toshkin, for the GBSC that I've got, it did the PlayStation menu resolution change very quickly, whereas on a PlayStation, sometimes the game is at a certain resolution, but the menu is at a different resolution. And when you've plugged it into a CRT telly back in the day, when the game switches resolutions, you don't notice it. It happens immediately because the telly just figures it out. However, if you've plugged your game into an HDMI contemporary telly and the game tries to switch resolutions, you can have like a big delay where your telly tries to reconnect to the source, and it can take a second or so. And that can be bad, because if you're in Resident Evil, for example, you go into your menu, check out your guns and stuff, go out of the menu, back into the game. If that takes a second or two to go back into the game, you know, a zombie might be munching on your neck by the time you can see what's going on. So, a lot of these boxes that have been made that allow you to play games like this on your modern tellies, the more expensive ones, does that resolution switching invisibly. But the GBSC inexpensive one that I was telling you about that I used to use that broke, that did that really quickly. My current setup, no idea how that's going to work. Don't know. So I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But for all this stuff, there's a point of diminishing returns, right? All I really want to be able to do is sit down and play my Mega Drive, play my PlayStation on the telly. And no matter what setup I've got, it's always going to be a wee bit pish. Although, I saw quite a nice CRT television. Not like a nice square broadcast one like this, but just like a telly that you would have in your house. I saw one on Gumtree earlier today and it was 65 quid. And I was just like, that looks good, man. That looks alright. I wouldn't mind that. But where am I going to keep that? You know what I mean? Also, Rachel's working today. I don't think she would be too keen on, could you drive me to Paisley, please, and we can pick up a big telly? I think she would tell me to swivel. So, we'll see how it goes. My long form plan is to get this fixed, and I think it just needs a day of me inside it, poking around in it. I've not had that day for quite a bit. But until then, I'll play the Mega Drive and the PlayStation in the living room. And here's the thing, I probably won't even play the Mega Drive and the PlayStation in the living room. But all of this is part of it's the journey, not the destination, isn't it? Teaching kids to repair tech, looked it up, called Team Repair. Amazing cases, let's have a wee look at them later on. Oh baby, I live and breathe this stuff, literally, haha, we're doing more modding. We're not doing more modding, but we are finding out of yesterday's mod. So yesterday, I opened up my childhood PlayStation 1, I removed the mod chip that was on there, and I replaced it with an X station that allows you to plug an SD card into your PlayStation instead of a CD, and then that means your PlayStation can read all the games off of an SD card. So I finished that about 2:30 in the morning this morning, went to bed without testing it, and so the objective today is just to boot it up, see if it goes into a menu. If it does, I would call that a success, and then what I'm going to do off stream is load up the card with ROMs and stuff and get it all configured and get it nice. Also, I just wanted to come on. It's rare that I'm on a Friday. It's rare that I do a Friday stream. So here am I. So did 10:30 break his PS1? We find out. Hello, Stuart Robertson. How you doing? Stuart Robertson says, not that it matters too much, but you're broadcasting in portrait on YouTube. Yes, I am. I'm broadcasting in portrait, and I'm also simultaneously broadcasting in landscape on YouTube. And I'm also simultaneously broadcasting on Twitch as well. Twitch is really the best place to watch me if you're into it. We've got a very vibrant Twitch chat here, whereas the chat on YouTube tends to just be people coming in and out. But yep, YouTube portrait, YouTube landscape, and Twitch currently we're broadcasting on at the same time. But thanks very much for letting me know, Stuart Robertson, to give you your full name. Aaron Sausage, you're a crisp pixel. Only telling the truth? No. I sold my heavily upgraded Amiga 1200 for £200. Oh my god. I want to just go on and have a wee look and see how much an Amiga 1200 is just now. I'm surprised they haven't made any clones of an Amiga 1200. I'm not ever going to buy an Amiga ever again, am I? An Amiga was a wonderful thing. It was sort of my first computer, as in a mouse and a keyboard, desktop environment, folders, floppy disks. But talking 900 quid for an Amiga 1200 Bolt. Part of my love for the Amiga was all the homebrew discs and stuff that I had as well, which are all gone. So even if I bought an Amiga just now, I wouldn't have all the games and stuff for it that I had back in the day, and they wouldn't be stuff that I could just easily download because it's things that have been made in some guy's bedroom that I had I'd bought from the back of a magazine and stuff like that. So I don't think I can recreate that. I think maybe that should just stay as a memory. Husey says, I have a memory seared into my mind from when I was about 14, going to some random gaff, and they had a 50-inch CRT that took up practically an entire wall in the living room. That's amazing. Think of the radiation done off of that. You swivel, rolling sausage. I don't think it did, but there were a few Wii specific HDMI converters floating around. I've got a Wii thing that cost me like £12 or something, and it outputs HDMI like tremendously without any lag, without any compromises. Excellent quality. I got it just off of Amazon. And it's that good and integrated that I forgot that the Wii just didn't have it natively. It's a wee white box. Am I right in thinking the Wii can do like Mega Drive emulation and stuff? I'd like to get maybe aye, so it's something like this I've got for the Nintendo Wii. And I think it's that one there, £7.50. This one's on sale for £2.76, £5.99. If you've got a Nintendo Wii, you want to play it on your big telly, I've got one of these things. Works great, I can recommend it. I'm sure there are far more expensive ways to do it if you want to, and there might be benefits for you depending on your setup and your particular needs. But this is what I do whenever I want to play my Nintendo Wii. Back when I got a 300 at Wii Bowling live here on Twitch, I'm sort of like an athlete, but back when I got a 300 in Wii Bowling, it was via that interface that I used. What a wonderful question. My throat's dying. Amazing scenes. Can't watch Twitch because work internet. Alright. Aye, Stuart Robertson, full name. Well, see, elsewhere on YouTube, mate, you should be able to see somewhere a widescreen version. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching Portrait, you need to be watching it widescreen, really. You do, right? So I don't know if you click on my name or something, if it says that I'm live in wide. I should be live in widescreen somewhere on YouTube. Don't know how it all works. But thanks very much for watching regardless. I think there are repro motherboards now, but you have to find the chips yourself. Aye, that would be like a big undertaking. Keezy says, I've got two Amiga 1200s and an 8 meg memory expansion board. Went to sell them, but I'm transferring all my discs to PC first. Amazing, man. Amazing. Very jealous, Keezies. I'm very jealous that you've got all your discs as well. Rhymenosauce says, remember building a disc box in Techie to hold all my Amiga games? Aye. Remember having a disc with like a lock on it? Disc box. I've still got a disc box upstairs somewhere. There's something about that aesthetic that's just really nice. I've got a nice cup of coffee here, lads. Peacock says they had Mega Drive games on the Wii shop. Aye, but wasn't there also like a dodgy way of hacking a Wii? I say hacking, you know what I mean? Modifying it to play homebrew and stuff like that, I think. I can't remember. Also, do you like my fancy cup? This is the premiere of my fancy cup. I don't think you've seen this before. I quite like it. I bought this, it cheered me up. It's my fancy cup. It's big as well. I've got two Amiga 500s with a 1 megabyte upgrade. One is my childhood Amiga and the other I got for a tenner at a car boot sale. I need to start going to car boot sales, man. You can install Homebrew Channel really easily on the Wii and it was shockingly easy early on. Really? So you don't even really need to modify it or anything? Surprising Nintendo allowed that. You could even run RetroArch on the Wii. Cool. I think they're cool Wii boxes. And remember, the Nintendo Wii potentially saved my mum's life. Remember that story? Okie dokie. Right, what we're going to try and do is plug a PlayStation into this telly. How am I going to achieve that? Well, first, I think I might be able to turn the television on. So I pressed a button on my Stream Deck, which turned my tellies on. Even that feels like Star Trek. So here, I'm getting... You can't even see what this is. So what we need to do is maybe copy this. I'm trying to plug my PlayStation into this tiny television here, right? Just because that's the only... If I wasn't streaming, I would be doing this on my big television in the living room. But I'm streaming, and so the objective is to sort of show you, isn't it? So this tiny television here, whoa, that's trippy, is hopefully going to receive the signal from a PlayStation quite soon. So in order to make that happen, I think I need to get up and sort of move around a wee bit. So maybe I should bring that down, bring this over here, and then we could maybe like do this. And you get to see behind the curtain, right? And then if I put this off, okay, let's try and plug in a PlayStation. This is cool, isn't it? So we don't have any sound, right? We won't have any sound, so we won't be able to hear the whole. We won't be able to hear that. But hopefully when I turn this on, we should be able to see a PlayStation 1 logo form here. Let's find out. We're ready, everybody? Moment of truth, yo! Also, I need to plug it into the wall. Also, this telly needs to be configured as well, so if we don't see it right away, it might just be a fault of a problematic telly. Right. So that did something. See, just it's not switched on yet, but see, just plugging in the PlayStation changed the image here. So let's turn this on, but then, hey, Sony Computer Entertainment. But will it boot? Will it boot? Can you see this? Yes, man, we're into the actual PlayStation logo. I don't know if you can see this. And look at that. We're on a menu. We're on a menu. It's bloody worked. I wonder if I could play a PlayStation game like this. I don't have any colour, but I'm pretty sure that's this telly rather than. See if I can figure that out. There's wee buttons on the back, and it's the sort of thing if you just sort of look at something the wrong way, it'll disconnect. Aye, there we go, got the colour working. You really won't be able to see that, will you? Cool, I would call that a success. and I can see all the, it's like a Christmas themed menu they're presenting as way here, and I can see all the wee graphics and stuff down the bottom. It looks a lot better in person than what you're seeing on the screen. Right, so just to recap, if I hit refresh, even though there's no disc inside this PlayStation, it will show you the startup screen here. Whoa, it's all red and weird. And then boots into the PlayStation screen. And see, if you were doing disc swapping back in the day, getting beyond that screen there was the sign that it had worked. And this looks like it's worked. So I'm very happy with that. Brilliant. Brilliant. So what I'm going to do is configure an SD card with loads of ROMs at some point. And then that's us. We've got a PlayStation with all the games in the entire world on it. How cool is that, man? How cool is that? Right, let me undo all the catastrophic nonsense that I've just invoked onto my stream. Right, how did this look again? Hey, back to normal. PlayStation works, back to normal. Amazing. I've never heard the mum story. Hughes, I told it very recently. Wii Sports back in the day had a game with a ski jump, and you had to bend your knees and then sort of straighten them out to pretend that you're jumping on the Wii balance board. And when the Wii first came out, we were all sort of playing with it. I can't remember, somebody brought one over or something. My mum did that, bent her knees, straightened out, and like felt something in her abdomen. Was like, whoa, right, that shouldn't be like that. Went to the doctor, got an operation within a couple of days. Full recovery, everything's absolutely brilliant. But if she hadn't have done that one specific Nintendo Wii ski jump move, she might not have caught it when she did, and the outcome might not have been as good. So you could say Nintendo sort of saved my life, saved my mum's life. But not really. I kept meaning to write to Nintendo to try and get some free swag or something, but it never happened. Also, I don't think they would really care. Nintendo, first off, you saved my mum's life. Now I would like to ask you for something in return. Could you send me free consoles and things? Thank you. You put a .elf file on an SD card, then used a hacked save for Twilight Princess that overflowed into the horse's name and let the loader run. Oh, nice. Creativity finds a way every time, doesn't it? Might be common knowledge, but did you know the sound, the PlayStation sound, was recorded from pushing a piano off a roof? No? Let's find that out. Ba-ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. PlayStation 1, piano roof. Aye? Well, wait a wee second. YouTube doesn't seem to have the video that I was looking for. Top one is a piano falling from the sky, but nothing to do with a PlayStation. Then these ones here are all like PlayStation stuff that don't have anything to do with pianos. Do you remember back in the day when you would search for something, if it didn't have the thing that you were looking for, it just would say no results? And now if you're searching for something, if it doesn't have the thing you're looking for, it'll just be like, yeah, here, look at this though. You know how you want a piano of a PlayStation 1 falling for the thing and that's exactly what you've asked for? How about like just this guy's made a graphic, PlayStation 1? Watch that. Even though this red line here says that I've already watched that. See, if you don't have any results for PlayStation 1 piano roof, just write 0 results. Does me in. Why? Searching used to be better, and now it's got worse. And you think because it's 2025, things would be better than it used to be, because anyway, I'm moaning again. But why is search so bad? And like, that's search's one job. If you don't have the thing, just say you don't have the thing. But you want me to stay on the website so that you can keep serving ads to me, even though I'm paying you for no ads. So you don't need to like mind control me into staying on the website. I'm paying you money. You're getting your money off me anyway. If anything, it would be cheaper now that I'm paying you, YouTube, for me to not use it, because then you wouldn't need to serve me content. So financially, it would be better for you if you only showed me stuff that I want to see and nothing else. Because I'm already paying you a monthly fee, YouTube. So if there's no results, just say no results. Bunch of cunts. I think I am getting a wee bit healthier in the old mental health, because this time last week, I wouldn't have had the conviction to do that big moan like I just did. Yes, as Blunt says, that's so cool. I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited about this. I know I'm just sitting here moaning, but that is well exciting. So, from now on, under my big telly in my living room, I'm going to have a Mega Drive with every game in the world released on it, without even having to get up. I can switch games. And now, it looks like I've got a PlayStation with potentially every game in the world released on it. So Rachel and I can just sit and fucking jump for Wiz and Liz to Micro Machines Turbo Touring Edition to Mortal Kombat 3 to Wipeout to Tekken to a bit of Tomb Raider and so on. It's going to be brilliant, man. I'm very excited. So that was a cool thing. I wouldn't mind making a couple of them, right? Like, how much would you pay for an original PlayStation 1 with a board in it that allows you to plug in an SD card? I don't think I would modify people's PlayStations. So see if you sent me your childhood one, I wouldn't want to open that up in case I fucked it, right? But see if I found some just second-hand PlayStations, buy about 5 of them, modify them all, stick them on a shop. So you could go on, you buy a PlayStation, and when you open it up, you just chuck an SD card in it. When you turn it on, and you've got a menu of every game available ever. I think that would cost me, per PlayStation, cost me about 4 or 5 hours in labour, cost me about 50 quid in material parts, plus the cost of a PlayStation, plus the cost of postage, all the admin to do with uploading it to a website. I want to get paid for physically going to the post office as well. So realistically, it would need to be about what? Like, I don't know how much second-hand stock PlayStations are. So I'd need to do a wee bit of calculations. Where did you buy it from? Well, if you're good at soldering, this is called an X station. So you could do it yourself. And I buy stuff like this from Retro Upgrades. Oh look, there is the thing. There is the calculations that I've just been trying to do myself. So Retro Upgrades, if you don't want to buy one for me, you can buy one for them. And well, it looks like they're out of stock just now, so you can't buy one for them. But if you could buy one for them, it would be between 215 to 233 quid. So that is essentially what I've got just now. However, their full complete package isn't for sale. And so, highly recommend this website. See if you're into soldering, you're in the UK, and you're into your old console tech. Like, they'll sell capacitor kits and stuff like that. All the mods that I got from my Mega Drive were either off of here or AliExpress as well. You can buy really dear cables if you want to as well. So there's a PS1 SCART cable. I'm currently looking for a PS1 to YPRP component. I've got the letters wrong there. Where are we? AV consoles. No. Upgrade kits. Upgrade kits. And then Sony. So this year, alright. I didn't buy it from here. So on here, right, see the wee board that I installed it into the thing, the wee board that I installed yesterday? On this website is £100. I didn't pay £100 for mine. I have just remembered, I think I've got mine for AliExpress. Let's see how much the same thing is on, is it AliExpress? Which might be a wee clone, a wee knockoff, or that website might be selling them from AliExpress. Because I didn't pay £100. Xstation, PlayStation. PlayStation. I don't know. PlayStation. AliExpress isn't showing me the results that it usually shows me. I will find out. I'll find out where I got it. I'll let you know. I can maybe go into Gmail and just look at my receipts. I signed into Gmail on this. Xstation. Okay. AliExpress. I think it was AliExpress. Aha. I'm not streaming that, just doxed my full full address if I had. It's asking me to sign in. I'm not signing in. So but it's called Xstation Optical Disk Drive. Let's see if I can open that in Xstation Disk Drive. Here it's here, 50 quid. Bang. So instead of spending 100 quid buying it from the UK, 50 quid. However, you need to buy the model for your particular PlayStation. And the version I bought didn't come with an SD card, so it's a wee bit dearer if you want a bundled SD card. So in order to figure out what version you need to open up your PlayStation, you need to look at the serial number on your motherboard. Mine is a PU8 Late Edition motherboard. So I got that flavour for £50.59 and a fiver shipping, as opposed to 100 quid for the other place. It wasn't impossible to solder. It's not the easiest solder job in the world, but it wasn't the hardest either. The trickiest bit was lifting pins. There's some pins that had to be lifted for some surface mount chips that were on the board. That was a wee bit delicate, sort of thing you might need a magnifier for or something. But it was fine. It was alright, and everything else was fairly straightforward. It was a nice, neat package. I quite liked it. Where are we? Camera needs to be focused. Over here, it'll be auto-focusing on my face, which is why you didn't see all of that. Or, right now, am I out of focus? We should have autofocus back on. I'll do a cutter. You focus here, and then you go to get the focus on your face. That's it. It worked now. Worked. There we are. Everything's in disarray. I need to tidy up properly. But I'm quite happy with that modification, man. I really am. Mike Almond says, "Good news. I haven't slept yet." That's bad news, Mike. What are you on about good news? You're sleepy, man. Go to bed. You've got your good news mixed up with your bad news. Good news, says Mike, "I haven't slept yet, so your soothing tones are going to lull me to sleep. Keep the noise down." I will. Mike, if you were in last night, last night's VOD is particularly soothing. However, I do a rendition of Happy Birthday Armpit Farts at some point throughout. I can't promise that my soothing tones will be consistently soothing throughout, because it is the daytime. I might just get spontaneously excited. You know what I'm like when I get going. But last night's VOD in particular will be the ASMR soothing soldery setup that you might be after. Could we all wish Mike Almond a night? Mean Million says, "My mum got obsessed with the Wii Fit ski jump game such that she stayed up alone until the small hours trying to beat my high score." That is amazing, Mean Millions. I got obsessed with the Wii bowling so much that I stayed up. There was like we were all playing it as mates at a night that I was at back in the day. And we played a good few rounds of wee bowling, and I had a particular knack to it. So after everybody had had a shot and stuff, I was like, "Do you mind if I try and go for a perfect game?" They're like, "Aye, aye, aye." And we were getting all quite excited. I think it took me. We were there till about 3 or 4 in the morning. A couple other folk had a go, no chance. I was onto it, bang, 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 every time, bang, every time, bang, every time. And then the last strike or the second last strike, I would just accidentally leave one pin. But I did it on Twitch. I've done it twice on Twitch. Maybe we do that as an annual thing. Although it does, for the next day, my shoulder is sore. But I did get a 300. I got a perfect game in Wii Bowling twice now. And I can prove that. So this is where, after about 10 hours, I didn't score a perfect game. I got a 299. I was one pin away from the perfect game after multiple hours. Oh, and then this is the other run. It took 10 hours, but I scored a perfect game in Wii Bowling. Thanks to everybody watching for all the support today. It was a good day. Cross your fingers and toes. Pray to your deities. Get your spouses in, and please, for the love of God, wish me luck.
Nice throw.
I can't look. I don't know if I've done it or if I haven't done it. I can't look.
Perfect.
Yes! Fucking yes, man! Okay, everybody. Welcome back, Mike Almond. I think I just woke you up there. Forgot Mike Almond was trying to get to sleep. Sorry, buddy. But it's because I scored a perfect game in Wii Bowling, so round you. I did tell you to go to last night's VOD. So we might do that. It's my birthday next month, at the end of the month. So to celebrate, I might try and do a 10-hour Wii Bowling stream again where I reach a 300. Or maybe I can find some other thing to maybe do or something. I don't know, man. Anyway. So this concludes 50 quid for the component parts, a donor PS1, and maybe... Well, the first time you do it will be a lot longer. So last night I started about 10:30, 11, 12, and I was done like 3 hours or something, but I really took my time with it because I was streaming. I think I could taken my time, have the full mod done within an hour, probably, maximum. But I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't mind making people PlayStations. That would be cool. That would be a bit of fun. Because it is, if you can solder, you can do it yourself. If you can't solder, I wouldn't recommend this as your first soldering project, because it's quite footery, is the Scottish word that would be best used to describe footery. Okie dokie, I'm just checking my emails live on stream. Shouldn't be doing that. Should be focusing on you. Dearie me. I welcome back, Mike Almond. Sorry that woke you up. Sean Hancock Photofilm says I worked in Comet in about 99 2000s, and the store had a stack store of discs for demo machines. My boss let me take them home, and I thought they were demos, but they were full games. I've never seen anything about them online since. Don't know if they're worth anything. Still have a few. Amazing, Sean Hancock, for the PlayStation 1. If you get any photos of them, I wouldn't mind seeing what that is. My mum worked in Curry's, or well, Clydesdale as it was known back in the day, and I was in a very privileged position where I got a chance to play Sonic the Hedgehog 2 about a week before it was released in the UK, because some guy that she worked with was right into it, and he managed to get like an advanced shipment for the head office, and in the back room set up like a telly and a Mega Drive that he shouldn't have opened, and a copy of Sonic 2. And so I remember when my mum was working, I would just go in the back room, our manager was sound, and I would sit and I would play Sonic 2. It was amazing. And then later on I went and worked in Curry's and stuff as well for a fair bit. So Comic Curry's Fleeto represent. Okie dokie. Ah, right, so what's that video? So it's the PS2 startup sound. That's amazing. You can tell they just did this for the press as well. So this is, ever wondered how the PlayStation 2 startup sound was made? You won't believe this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I don't believe that. Also, if they are doing this for the sole purpose to record it for the PlayStation 2 startup sequence, they would tell everybody not to cheer and not to shout, because that would bleed into the recording and they wouldn't be able to get a clean recording of the thing. I smell shenanigans. Also, this has been uploaded from Daily History Clips with a picture of Churchill on it. And anytime Churchill is telling me facts about anything, even the PlayStation 2, I'm suspicious of it because Winston Churchill is a big dead cunt. Don't believe it. And to try and figure out if I'm right or not, earlier when we were on YouTube, I might be wrong, that might really be real, because if the mic gain when it was being recorded, because obviously that's a loud sound, so the microphone recording that wouldn't have been sensitive, you know, the gain would be right down, and so if that was right down, then maybe that's why the crowd didn't get recorded. However, that piano video looks exactly like a video that we just saw on YouTube that doesn't have anything to do with a PlayStation 1. So, let's see if this video on YouTube, which looks like the original upload, sounds like the video we just watched. And I bet it doesn't, because, as we know from the past, Winston Churchill is a liar. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. The cameraman, I don't know why they've mentioned his race, the cameraman has just realised how the PS2 sound was made. Is this video the actual PS2 video? Sounds like it's America as well, with the chant, and I would bet the PS2 sound design was done in the UK. Just if it's got that sort of vibe to it. MIT Baker House, MIT. So MIT, that's like the college, isn't it? Or the university. Baker Piano Drop 2007.
To Piano Drop 2007. You guys ready to see some destruction?
Stop hyping it, mate, and drop the piano.
All right. All right, let's do this for real. We're starting with 10.
Did you hear that, everybody? Did you hear that? No PlayStation sound. Let's listen to that again. Did you hear that? No PlayStation sound. Investigative journalist James Houston fucking strikes again. I've no been beat yet. I've no been beat yet. Can't get anything past me, Winston Churchill. Liar, Winston Churchill. Liar. So this video over here, it's just a gift I've got. I can just see fraud in front of me. Hammy says you could have just asked me. Hi Hammy, how you doing? If you're just in, I don't tell your Sony people because they'll come and arrest me. But I've replaced. Oh, you can't see this. I replaced the disk drive last night with an optical drive emulator, and we just tested it out, and it looks like it worked. This is my original PS1 for when I was a child. Opened it up last night in the loft. We removed the original mod chip, which was my first soldering experience. Removed it for the inside of that, and then installed an X station. So obviously I'm going to back up all the games that I legally own onto an SD card, and only those ones, and then I'll be able to play, and I'm all excited. So I've just tested it out just there with this telly, and it looks like I haven't broken my PlayStation, so I'm quite excited about that. So that's cool, isn't it? All of that's kind of cool. The fact that I just saw shenanigans and cut straight through it. And here's the deal, man. Look, see this video here that we were talking about? It's got over 1,101,122 likes, which means I can see bullshit that over 1,101,122 people can't. This guy as well, Skeptic, Gian Dom Ted, didn't believe it, and 7,572 people agree with him, so I'm one of them. I don't think I'm logged in otherwise. No, I'm. There we go. This is fake. The audio is dubbed over. Original piano drop is from MIT in 2007. Never, ever trust an account with Winston Churchill in its PFP. Guys, a badyan. Freedom, ya bass. I love the internet. Check retro gaming cables if you're wanting high quality SCARTs at decent prices. Cheers, Zombie. Thank you very much. I'll have a wee look. I think I've got all my cables now, other than I might need a PlayStation 2 composite cable. I'll figure all of that out. But I'm quite happy now. I've got my PlayStation 1 and got my Mega Drive set up with all the games on it. And those are really the only consoles that I care about from a nostalgic viewpoint. So I'm quite happy there. I'd recommend the Pico mod for the GameCube if you have one kicking about. Sandy Bogro, I've got a GameCube over there, right, that, believe it or not, has never been used. Like, it's the box is open. I remember buying it, but I've never owned any GameCube games, right? So I think I bought it when it was at its end of life for like a heavily discounted price. So I've got a GameCube sitting there that's like pristine. I've just never done anything with it. And also I've got a Pico upstairs. And I've been looking at that mod for a bit. Might be kind of cool. Might be kind of cool to do at some point. Basket says, hi, can you tell me a little bit about your setup and thoughts behind it? I'm quite intrigued. Do you mean the Twitch setup? Well, if it was all working properly, my philosophy with this was, well, HAL currently isn't working, right? But HAL here is a replica of HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey. And if I spend 5 minutes clicking stuff, I would be able to show you it, but I'm not going to do that because it'll be dead air just now. But I can speak to HAL and it can speak back to me, and it works. And then everything else is sort of worked around about that. I can't remember if this is HAL or if this is a different voice, so let's find out. Hi HAL, how are you? Hello there, HAL. Nah, we're not set up good. I think it's because it doesn't see my microphone. Anyway, sorry, that isn't answering your question. So over here, the plan was for all the graphics, right? Ultimately, I want an interactive experience here on Twitch. So people in my Twitch chat, every time they sub or give bits or whatever, I get a bubble blast straight to the face as a wee reward. And that's what a bubble blast looks like. There's bubbles come straight to my face. When that happens, these televisions switch on. When these televisions switch on, what used to happen is their personal profile picture would appear here, a message, their username would appear, and it would all be animated and lovely, because I didn't want on-screen graphics to just be overlaid. I wanted all my graphics to kind of be practical, you know what I mean? But then this TV is sort of getting a bit long in the tooth, so it stopped working. So I need to fix this, and then the full thing will be back up. And then most recently, I bought really cheap lights and hacked them so that I can do stuff like this. So streamer lights isn't a new thing, but this implementation of it is, because these are the cheapest of the cheap ones. I'm not paying a subscription for this or whatever. I wrote a big bit of code in order for all of that to work. But then in addition to this, I've also got the upstairs loft streaming setup to do like techie stuff, soldering things, whatever. If you look at my last stream, you can see a demonstration of all the different cameras and things that I've set up in the loft. And then occasionally I will strap my phone to my head if I need to like saw wood or do something like that. We'll go to the garage and you can see my POV. So I've got quite an interesting streaming setup that it doesn't compare to Sushi Dragon's, right? Because he's got a big warehouse and he's got all this amazing wireless tech, but definitely inspired by. And I've not seen too many other folk, because usually people on Twitch play games, that's what Twitch is for. But I thought there might be opportunity to come in and build stuff and do creative projects, and so far it's been working quite well. Been into it. Anyway, in fact, Dad says a mate of mine's was a housing officer in Possil and told me once there was a tenant that someone called the police on for a noise complaint on a Monday afternoon. Police went to the flat and found about 30 steaming folk having a wee bowling tournament that got out of hand. That's amazing. I want to go to a wee bowling tournament in Possil. Fucking hell. I was once in a taxi. The taxi driver told me he had a shotgun under his seat. I was like, he seemed alright. A wee bit like rough, but alright. I'm sitting in his passenger seat and I'm like, what if you get a shotgun for under your passenger seat? And as he's driving, he turned at me for too long. Like, he should be looking this way. And he's like that. I looked at him. He's like, I'm from Possil. I was like, alright. He went back to driving. I was like, alright, aye. So I wonder if he was involved in that. Can I just say maximum respect to everybody for Possil? I'm no like a threat or anything. You don't need to respect all of that. Curry's crew represent? Yes, man. Funkle Albert, yes. I'll dig some out of PS1. That's cool, Sean Hancock. If you're in the Discord, I wouldn't mind having a wee look at them. Anyway. PlayStation existed before cameras of that quality existed. Well, that was supposed to be PS2. But it's 2007. There's a high likelihood it was being made in Japan, so why would everyone count in English? I can tell you the audio for PlayStations is done in Japan. Thank you, Hammy. Of course it is. Of course it is. If you ever wanted the PlayStation Impulse responses, I heard about this. Is this convolution reverb? They've not used the word convolution. Do you know about convolution reverb? Cool concept, everybody. You know, if you're playing the drums or something, you can add reverb. Or if you're playing drums in like a big church hall, you can. You've got the sort of the tail end of the drum hits or whatever. Reverb. Most people are familiar with reverb. Did you know that you can capture the reverb of a particular place? You can go in, play a sine wave, and you record how that sine wave echoes around the room. And there's a way then of taking that room acoustics, saving it as a preset, into your computer, and then any sound after that, you can apply the convolution reverb that you've captured from a location onto a sound file that you've just recorded, and it'll sound identical to if that sound was recorded in that room that you've captured in the first place. It's dead cool. So here, what somebody has done has captured the convolution reverb, or captured the reverb that is natively found within the original PS1. So if you're a music person, £71? Oh, no, it's £71 for... How much is it just for this? Buy digital album. Name your price? Excellent. £0. That's cool, man. So then, with these impulse responses, I'd imagine it should be then fairly easy to import them into software like Ableton Live, Fruity Loops, whatever. Probably via VST if it can't handle it natively. And then, when you're making your music, you can make it sound as if it's been processed by an original PlayStation's reverb technology, because all the audio in the original PlayStation is like really good, cool, boffin, amazing stuff. That's amazing. Thanks for the link. I remember seeing that back in the day, and then I totally forgot about it. But I should have that somewhere on my hard drive. Maybe we should get a piano and lob it off a roof of a warehouse in Uddingston. Roljuk, if you've got either a piano or a warehouse in Uddingston, I am up for that, man. Good news. Drove to bowling. Down my main high street, no problemo. Major confidence boost. Good to see you and all your wee pals in chat. Beneath headphones, I hope you're doing really good, and congratulations once again. I told Rachel's like, do you have a good day? And I'm like, aye, beneath the headphones passed his driving test. Rachel's like, aye. I love Twitch, man. PS2 came out in 2000. Right, got you. Amazing. PS2 sound is made from several samples. You can hear them individually ripped from the ROM. I remember that as well. I remember, obviously I've been doing some shenanigans with hacked games and copies and stuff like that as a child. And disc swapping needs to be done during that startup sequence where you hear the PS2 sound that we are talking about. And sometimes if the disc doesn't swap right, the sound, like the notes don't play, but the previous notes ring out. So I knew that PlayStation sound was generated live. I knew that the full sound wasn't, locked and pre-recorded. I knew that there was like MIDI, maybe not MIDI, but you know what I mean, notes getting triggered and sampling some sort of instrument inside there. I knew that. And yet I didn't apply that to the video that I watched there when I was expressing skepticism. But you're very right. You're very right. I wonder what sound Churchill would have made being hurled off a building. I think that's the sound they used for the PS3. PS2 sound is made for... I've just read that, sorry. Winston Churchill, unnecessary mention of race. What is it with fascists and loving obvious bullshit? Aye. And, lies as well. Turns out it wasn't the PlayStation thing. Millions of people monetize that. Write a lie, add a couple of seeds of fascist rhetoric in it, monetize it. There you go, 100 million people have seen your wee stupid thing and have been drip fed. Oh, the race of the cameraman, and oh, Winston Churchill. It's just, and if that happens multiple times, then that's how you turn people into badgins. Shenanigans. This is why we can't have nice things, man. Now imagine if that was the PS2 startup sound, 100%. New internet series, Jimmy Investigates, aye. Although I don't think I can call myself Jimmy, man. Jimmy used to be a good name, it's kind of off limits, and probably will be off limits for at least another 20 years. Ruined a brilliant name. James is not a good name. There's never been a good James. There's never been a good James. Can get away with Jim, sometimes Jimbo. Jimmy was the best of them all. Now I just can't use it. It feels like it's been taken of me. Is it the worst thing Savile has done? No. But am I too a victim of his in some way? Aye, I would say I am. Aye. Because he took away my ability to call myself Jimmy. What a horrible man. Chameleon says the school apparently does it every year. The one from 2008 was missing the PS2 noise as well. Thank you, Chameleon. Aye, we got to the bottom of that, man. Amazing they do the startup sound for a 2001 console for a video that was recorded in 2007. Debunked. Big stamp on it. Have you seen the tension of piano strings, by the way? No way they would have folk that close if there were strings there. Aye, Plodder, 100%. It could whip somebody in half. Did Churchill even go to MIT? No. No, he didn't. And I heard he was pish at Crash Bandicoot as well. Stuart Robertson, how you doing? Stuart, did you find your widescreen version on YouTube? Because you really should be watching me in widescreen. Stuart Robertson says, my PS2 startup sounded like that because it started it by hawking it off a roof. Aye. Aye, what does a PS2 sound when it hits a roof, when it hits the floor? Game archival is important work. Thanks very much, Hammy. And thanks very much for giving my piracy project your blessing. I count you as a representative of like Sony Entertainment, right? So thank you, Sony, for telling me that it's okay to pirate all your stuff. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot. That's me. I'll do it now. Thank you very much. It would be impressive to record audio in 2007 for a console release in 2000. Aye. It's all a lot of shite, man. It's all a lot of shite. Winston Churchill shite. I did the Pico boot mod for the GameCube. I would recommend the controller board replacement as well. Cool, Chameleon. Do you know, I've rarely even played a GameCube. Got one sitting there. We might get around to it at some point. What model is your PS1? The first one in the UK, so that's the SCPH 1002. 1001, I believe, was US. And the motherboard is a late PU8 motherboard. So it's got good audio. The only thing bad with it is the disk drive. It's got like this on the back. You know what I mean? Like these bits. The only bad thing with these models is the disk drive sled is plastic and the disk drive sled is positioned too close to the power. So that plastic melts, which is probably why that disk drive stopped working. However, with PlayStations, you can switch out disk drives. Even one of the PS1, you know, the later smooth PlayStations, apparently you can just swap a disk drive out and stick it in that, and that would have been fine. However, instead of doing all of that, I switched out for the emulator thing. So apparently the audio on this, everything on this is absolutely brilliant except for the disk drive. So it was that. So I think this might be the best iteration of a PS1. I was looking online at transparent cases, you know, because imagine that was clear and I could see all the innards and stuff like that. But you're talking about 90 quid, 120 quid just for a replacement case for my PS1, something like that. No, I quite like the grey. What I haven't done is buy a memory card. So there's cool memory cards you can buy now for about 20 quid. They've got a wee screen on them. They too take an SD card. And those memory cards wirelessly or something talk to the drive emulator. So whenever I launch a game from the drive, the memory card knows, oh, it's that game, and that loads a virtual memory card that you can configure to like have a full blank memory card for Resident Evil, have another full blank memory card for, you know, Turok Dinosaur Hunter, whatever it is. So I want to get one of them. It's only 20 quid, but my budget right now, see spending 50 quid on that drive emulator, that's this month's toy budget sort of taken up. So maybe next month I'll get the memory card, because what I really want to do is make music using Music 2000. I saw this pretty cool optical output mod. Oh, aye. That's interesting. And that's through the parallel port as well. Cool, that'll work on my iteration of motherboard. That's interesting. Cool, and that gives you digital audio out. TOS, what's that called again? TOS link or something. That's cool, man. I keep meaning to have a look, because everybody says, oh, the original PlayStation 1, this one, is the audiophile. See the amps, the preamps on that PlayStation 1? CD enthusiasts have got that PlayStation 1 because the amps on it, Sony, have done amazing stuff, and the quality you get off it is astounding. And I remember reading that and being like, alright. So I looked into it recently, like, is this actually good? And a couple of folk are saying it is good, but if you buy like a world-class CD player nowadays, the best of the best, it's still only going to be like 70 quid or something, because CD players kind of hit a ceiling. Also, somebody else was saying in order to get the absolute best audio quality out of it, you need to do some mods. And so I wonder if that optical output mod is a similar thing that they're talking about, or I wonder if, you know what I mean? I keep meaning to look into that. I don't care about pristine quality out of my PlayStation. I do care about rigging it to my telly, so an optical output would be useful, because I could go into the amp that I've got. But I kept meaning to go into that whole audiophile story and figure out, like, what's all of that about? Like, is it already doing it? Is it doing it by default? Because it's something that I've often started talking about, and then when I get to the second sentence, I'm like, actually, I'm just parroting something that I've read on a forum. I don't really have any experience with this. But that optical out is cool. Rhinoceros says, my mate at college moved to Glasgow with his girlfriend from Gala Shields, found the cheapest nice flat and thought that'll do. It was in Possil. That's a wee shame. I've lived in rough places in Glasgow, and it's been alright. But I've not lived in Possil. No offence to MD for Possil. I grew up in an unsavoury part of Airdrie. I've lived in various places. I'm no offering any shade on whatever area you're in, unless you live in Dundee, in which case you can go fuck yourself. Kidding on. It's brilliant. I've used it for making things sound like old phone calls. Nice one, Sean Hancock. And can you just drag it into Ableton? Back in the late 90s, our high school band had a tiny practice booth that could augment the sound in real time. That's cool, Mootsy. That is class, man. That's brilliant. Hammy says, fun fact, Ken Kutaragi, who was the father of PlayStation, came up with the name, but Sony execs didn't like the name. He argued, you go to work and use your workstation, so when you play you should use a PlayStation, which is why it's called that. PlayStation is an excellent name. See, the branding and name is so robust that they haven't changed it for decades, and they shouldn't. The PlayStation branding is amazing. See, particularly, I was trying to speak about it briefly. See the excitement around the launch of the first PlayStation? There was a vibe. It felt progressive. Right now, Sony doesn't really feel like they're doing interesting stuff, whatever, but the branding and the culture, it's just a different time we're in. It feels corporate. It doesn't feel progressive. It doesn't feel underground or exciting, really. Sony as a company, we've all read about various legal decisions they've had to make, or they're going after this person or whatever. But back in the day, for the launch of the PS1, video games in general at that point were still seen as toys for children. Like, yes, we did have Night Trap and stuff like that, but PlayStation 1 was, I think, the first console, probably the first mass appeal console that was like, no, this is for adults, man. You know, you're not going to get Mario on this. You'll get fucking Resident Evil and mental stuff. You're into racing? Look, here's a Gran Turismo to blow your face off. Here's some jungle music. There was like a promise and a hope. It was to do with music and culture, like Aphex Twin, Designers Republic, all of that, Warp and everything. And there was like a UK vibe as well. I think a lot of UK developers could afford to be experimental because it was cheap to run off, 10,000 copies of a disc, compared to getting 10,000 cartridges made. And so because of that, there were tons of like creative smaller studios that got to make stuff, and it just seemed like a vibrant time. Also, the jump in technology between the PlayStation's 3D graphics and computational capability versus what happened before was like an amazing thing. Like that was a much bigger deal than whatever current generation. Like the Nintendo Switch versus the Switch 2, like they just look identical, man. The graphics are identical. Oh, that game's maybe get 5 frames per second more. Way. Whereas the PlayStation versus what came before it, fucking hell, man. Looked amazing. You've got an arcade in your living room, Jesus Christ. This was culturally important at the time. I feel like an old guy, but it wasn't just like, oh, I liked playing games when I was a child. The full environment was different. It was uncool to be into video games until the PlayStation came along, and so that's why it was it was quite an important thing. Thus concludes my wee chat. By PlayStation, incredible. It would be wonderful if Sony could get back to that original culture that they maybe didn't have, but they had in branding. You know what I mean? Felt almost like counterculture, and was really good. The guy for Brewdog ruined James. Aye. The guy for Brewdog Zabalbus is the worst James. Well, it goes James Corden, Guy for Brewdog, Savile, I would say, on my list of worst Jameses. James the band I've got no beef with. James Gandolfini was a good James. McAvoy, aye. I'd fuck with McAvoy if he was about. Gi's a phone, James McAvoy. Gi's a phone, mate. I want to talk to you. James Connolly, don't know who he is. Smooth Jiminal, aye. You seen that guy on TikTok Rachel sent over? It's like, if your name is James, here are some... I'll just get it up. Where is he? Scottish guy. So there's a Scottish guy on TikTok, and his TikTok strategy is just like, is your name Colin? Here's other nicknames for cunts called Colin. Paulin. Paulin. He does it better. Hold on. I'm not going to be able to find this. Mark Jennings, just you be quiet now. Name James. Will this come up? Let's see how good TikTok's. Aye, there you go. There you go. Right, you shush, buddy. My favourite is Osama Jim Laden. But if you are called James, as I am, the curse that I have been bestowed upon me, and you can no longer call yourself Jimmy. Here are your options. Oh, why is that not? Why are you muting it? Why are you muting it? I went on this page, I've clicked play. Why is it muted by default?
Breaking news for anyone called James, or Jim or Jimmy. Here's some new nicknames for you. If your name's James and you go by Jim or Jimmy, so boring. Be a bit more creative, here's some better ones. James, like one singular James. Smooth Jimino, James Trains and Automobiles. Jimino Mines, Jimney Sweep, The Hunchback of Notre James. Jimboree, Jimmer Switch, Jimcest, Jiminy Cricket, Jimmy Savile, Jim Possible, Hysteric Jimmy, Osama Jim Laden, I Jame, I Saw, I Conquered, Jim Burton, Jame Impala, Jim Jong-un, Slim Jim, Jim Witted, A Jim Full of Asha, Jimmy Neutron, Pacific Jim, Pure Jim, Jimulation, Jim Job, and Chimpanzee. Let me know if these are helpful, because I'm here to help yous, because I care about yous. Comment your favourite, comment some more, comment your name and maybe I'll do it. But if you have a name that only you and like 3 other people in the world have, I probably won't do it. Like, I probably won't.
There's a good format for TikToks. One idea can be expressed multiple times. Consistently funny, if it is, excellent idea for content. And he's doing really well by like poking fun at folks' names. Excellent use of that one specific platform there. My favourite one's Jim Job, I think. Where are we? In the chat, a wee bit behind in the chat. No blessing, says Hammy. Nah, I got your inferred blessing. It's alright, you can't walk it back now, Hammy. The more I hear about that Jimmy Savile, the less I like him. Aye, bad guy, man. If you throw a PS2 off the roof, it sounds like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. I think so. Good, Stuart Robertson. I'm good. You'll be able to see my screens now. SCPH, Sony Computer, PlayStation hardware. Brilliant. I love the PlayStation 1, man. I love it. Also, see the novelty of being able to play audio CDs as well was kind of cool. It was only really the Mega CD and maybe one or two other consoles that had that before. PlayStation 1, when it was launched, was a bigger deal than what a lot of people might not realise if you weren't there at the time. It was electrifying, man. Round Monster says the GameCube is a great console and arguably has the best controller ever made. Cool. I never get into it. I was never a Nintendo guy. I liked Blood in my Mortal Kombat and all that sort of stuff. I had pals who had Nintendos and stuff, but all the Nintendo... I had an original DMG01 Game Boy, the beige Game Boy. I had that at the right time and that was good. But when I was a child, that's the only Nintendo stuff I had. And then later on I bought some stuff, but never really played it too much. I do like the sound of old circuit board bouncing across concrete. Not that I was a destructive child. Well, I unscrewed a lot of electronics when I was a kid and put most of it back together. But anyway. DualShock on a PlayStation as well, although they didn't have that at launch. You didn't have the joypads at launch that came after. I've got, actually, it might be worth something. It's not DualShock, but it's a joypad for a PlayStation 1 that is the first official Shock joypad. So there's only a vibration motor in one of the bits, and the two joysticks are just slightly different. They're kind of harder plastic with a recessed bit rather than that softer rubber grip. So I wonder if that's maybe worth something on eBay or whatever. It's like an earlier pre-DualShock joypad that had analog sticks. I wonder, I'll have a wee look, see if there's a model number. I think my uncle tried to spray paint it blue at some point, which has probably diminished any value that it's got. I may have spent 2 months last year researching PlayStation models. Did you know that a Tekken 3 arcade machine is literally a PS3 descaled and put in an arcade cabinet? That is amazing. That's really cool. That's brilliant. I got right into the Sega Naomi disc-based arcade cabinets because Robert Florence had one. We were sharing a studio together. So I got into that for a wee bit, but then I moved out of that studio and because I was going to get into like buying Naomi discs and stuff. But I think that was essentially a Saturn, but I might be wrong inside. Do you pronounce Turok like Tunnock's tea cakes? Surely it's Turok. Turok? Turok? Dunno, Patchimus, dunno. If I chose one there, it wasn't with conviction. So I'm willing to concede the pronunciation of the Dinosaur Hunter guy. I met Cold Storage last year who did the music for Wipeout that wasn't licensed. Tim Wright is his name, but he also did the music for Music 2000. Amazing. So I've got Music and Music 2000, also known as MTV Music Maker in America. And that's one of the objectives with this, is to maybe try and make a beat using a PlayStation. Ry3D says, are CDs still like the best quality audio can get, or am I pulling that out my arse? Aye, more or less, Ry3D. You can also get, so CDs are 44.1 kilohertz, and you can also get like ultra master quality things at like 48.8, but typically that isn't available to consumers and stuff. By a CD or a FLAC file tends to be the best quality of anything that you can get. That used to be true about the audiophile thing, but in 2025 you can get much better DACs than the one that shipped on the PS1. Cool, man. I always just wondered about that thing. I didn't know if it was a myth or whatever. Tekken 3 feels far too early for that. Tekken 5 or 6. I don't think I've ever played Tekken 5 or 6. I think only Tekken 1, 2 and 3 came out on the PS1. Can't remember. Don't know. I think the Tekken I played was actually just part of Demo 1, the demo disc. I don't Remember Tekken 3? I think I had a version of Tekken 3. What was the one with Eddie in it? And you could do like mad break dancing. And you could just cheese it. And it was really difficult for people to beat you. I went Eddie. And I was just like abusive to people that I was fighting. Because I'd found like a sort of glitch to just be able to beat everybody. Anyway. You're right, it's Tekken 5. Alright. PS1 was my first ever console. I feel like I was spoiled. PlayStation 1 was an amazing, amazing thing, right? 3D. Huge queues outside Toys R Us, aye. And like a Christmas hype and all of that stuff as well. Tekken 7, the Namco System 357 is PlayStation 3 based, and Namco System 246, 256 are... Right, I forgot why we're talking about Tekken. I get it, man. All the kids that grew up with microcomputers and 8-bit. My first computer experience was Oh Mummy for the Spectrum. You want to see what that looks like? This is what was stimulating my eyeballs when I was a wee boy. Be surprised if it was even... So this is the first game that I ever had. This is what was tickling my imagination. For the Spectrum. I still really dig the colours and the grid-based light. See the graphics, still fucking look good. But this is what I had to play when I was a wee boy for fucking years until they invented the Master System. Then I slung this in the bin, but it was good. Here, who dares me to become a Oh Mummy speedrunner? So I think my console owning history was Spectrum plus 2, that was actually my sister's, for a couple of years older, you know, she was a couple of years older than me, but as I'm a child, I didn't know what the latest and greatest stuff was, so I had that for years, and loved it. Got a Sony original Game Boy, beige Game Boy, got a Master System, then a Mega Drive, a Mega CD, a Mega 500, a Mega 1200, and like I'm selling some of the old stuff to get the next stuff, and then got a PC, and didn't really look back from there. Guitar God by name of Bob, how you doing? Welcome in. Not been in to catch a stream recently. This is all class. Thank you very much. Your class as well. Thanks very much for your sub. And hey, listen everybody, do you want to support me doing this with my life? I encourage you to do so. If you happen to have Amazon Prime, etc. So the PS2, I didn't really have at the time. I played my mates and stuff like that, but by that point, I was into PC gaming. And the PS2, N64, GameCube, all of that sort of stuff, I got after the fact. I got as like retro consoles, like much later. But this is cool, man. This is cool. The PS1 was incredible value for the price of it. Aye, it was dead cheap as well, man. And it was a good CD player. The jump to 3D is not a generational leap that will ever be captured again. PS1 to PS2 and N64 to GameCube felt similar, but now it feels like it's diminishing returns. Aye, totally. It's kind of the same with an iPhone. Like, the iPhone is probably as good as it's going to get. You know what I mean? Amazing stretching technology, and then it's kind of leveling out. So unless something happens that allows us to make better chips smaller, or some form of new... I think maybe the next step would be, eventually what's going to happen is, instead of your images being rendered, they will be generated by like a video model, you know, using AI. Other than that, I can't predict any leap in technology that could mirror the 2D to 3D leap that we saw with the PlayStation. Does everyone know what the PS shapes mean? On you go, Hammy, tell us what do the PS shapes mean. I assume it's P for play and S for station. Also, I know that is a real 3D object. So this PS here, I know that's a real 3D object with like a forced perspective, and I've saw somebody take a camera and show that for the other side. So the top of the S is like way in the background and stuff. But no, you might trigger a memory when you explain it, but I can't remember offhand if I know any facts or lore about the logo. What a wonderful logo it is. Stuart Robertson says, I remember every local e-dealer getting a great import PS1 and he had full surround set up in his pad, watching him play Wipeout blow my face off. Amazing, man. That's class. I was late 20s when PS1 came out, was into PCs by then and let it pass me by. I don't know who James Connolly is. I'll look him up. James Connolly. Scottish born, Irish Republican. Aye, cool man, cool. Right, aye, yes, I do know who James Connolly is, of course. This cunt. For a wee while I thought you were talking about Brian Connolly, and I'm like, no, they're two different people. But aye. Was he at the GPO, or was that a different thing? Aye. I've been to the GPO and saw the bullet holes and all of that. President Muffley, how you doing? Get Abe's Odyssey on, man. 100% Muffley. 100%. Thank you very much for your sub, and thanks for 48 months, Muffley. How you doing, mate? The actual PS logo. Aye, please don't anybody clip me saying that all Jameses are bad, even James Connolly back in the day, because I didn't know who I was talking about earlier on. James Connolly, good guy. Where are we? McAvoy freaks me out, man. Guy's mental on the screen, feels scarily real. I think he's an incredible talent. Circle is correct, cross is wrong. Oh, right, the shapes. Yeah, yes. This is a tick and a cross in Japanese. Triangle represents view for the camera, and square is to represent the menus. Amazing. My muscle memory is still, cross, triangle, square, circle. If I'm playing a console and it says press the B button, I'm just like... Also, like R2 is there. See if I'm playing an Xbox, like RB, I'm like, what the fuck is RB? Every time I need to like... Whereas for whatever reason, the language and the map and layout of PlayStation is just... I just get it. But any other console, they just keep A and B is there and X and Y is there, and it's a fucking mess. PlayStation have nailed it. Chimpanzee was a Roscoe GTA RP character. Maybe, mate. Maybe. I forget. Jim Dalou. I like it. Valdrakian. I wouldn't want to infringe on that copyright. You should do a wee search of James Connolly. You like him. I was thinking of Brian Connolly, and then I'm like, well, no, because he's called Brian. PlayStation logo could have been these. Oh, I saw them back in the day. It's an absolute belter, man. It's an undeniable belter of a logo, isn't it? Feels like I've saw this before. See, top left one. I wonder if that variation was used for something else. I mean, it is quite something that, somebody else might have independently created, I suppose. But I feel like I've seen this in the context of video games. Maybe, what am I thinking of? Maybe like something aimed for children. Oh, was there a Sega thing called like the Pico or something, and it had a plastic stylus for children, like for toddlers? And it maybe was like an interactive storybook or something like that. It was like a physical sort of tablet thing. I don't know, man. My brain's all fucked. I have a prototype PS3 6-axis that also have an iToy 1. Amazing. I think I've got an iToy upstairs, actually, that I just obtained in a big box of other stuff. The Mega Drive 2 got chucked down the stairs by a frustrated parent of mine and still worked after. I'm sorry to hear that, Time Tide 41. I don't think anybody should have to go through that. I'm glad your Mega Drive worked, but that sounds like a rubbish wee time for a small person. Zabalba says, mind Lemmy and Rob Florence used to beef on Twitter about not meeting for a coffee. Good times. Mad McMahon says, Naomi was a better Dreamcast, was it not? I think it was like compatible or something. I don't know. At that point, Sega's career, I'd sort of checked out. I'd moved on to PlayStation stuff. Never had a Saturn, never had a Dreamcast. And I get Saturn and Dreamcast mixed up. All right, Roscoe, how you doing? I'm well behind in chat, so sorry, Roscoe, if you have since left. Was good seeing what special stages you could get in Sonic when you would plug in a random game at the Sonic and Knuckles expansion. Aye, it's even Sonic and Knuckles as a concept, man. A cartridge that you can plug in another cartridge, and it gives you value for games that you've already bought. Fucking cool, man. Super Audio Compact Disc is higher quality. Alright. Is that 44.4 or whatever it is? Very cool. I feel like you just assume it's vinyl because they're so massive and more complex to play, but it makes sense if CDs are newer. It depends on how the vinyl is recorded. So if the vinyl is just a pressing of a digital recording, like if it's a contemporary vinyl that somebody's mastered, so they've recorded a band digitally, they're then pressing that to vinyl, it would make sense, really, if you think about it, if you just had that digital file on your computer rather than going through all the digital to analog conversion of burning it to disc. You know what I mean, pressing a vinyl. However, if you've got old analog recordings that have been pressed to vinyl, maybe the vinyl is the best version of that you can get, because maybe if the master tapes and stuff have been lost or whatever, you either have the original vinyl or you have digital versions that people have made of that original vinyl, in which case there might be a bit of quality loss. Do you know what I mean? But see, if you're getting to that level of worrying about quality, you're kind of missing the point of music, really, I would say. Just put some tunes on, man, don't worry about it. Have a wank, chill out. Eddie was first in Tekken 3. Tekken 4, says Plodder. Interesting. Feel like, aye, right. Sorry, I wasn't having a go. Oh, no, I wasn't implying you were having a go. I just heard Turok, an imagined version with dinos replaced with giant biscuits. Made me chuckle. I want to get right into Tekken 3. Does your ma drink wine? Does she drink it all the time? The world's #1 Oh Mummy speedrunner. I'm into it, man. I want to be in the world record book. Here, how amazing is the box art for Spectrum games? Oh, just glorious, man. I want to design the box art. Keezies, see your next Spectrum game, unless you've already got an arrangement with an existing artist or something, I wouldn't mind. Like, somebody else can do the illustration and stuff, but I would like to do the layout and things. Any ZX Spectrum developers in chat, I'd quite like to do you a box art for your next game. Irish Gamer Girl says, my parents didn't like us playing video games, so they didn't get us any consoles growing up. That is abuse. Little did they know computers have games. Yes. Fucking Minesweeper, man. Pinball. Remember Pinball in Windows 95? Was that 95? N64 was also huge. Aye. I was PlayStation loyal, man. Some of the first games looked really clean and the gameplay was also very fluid. N64 was really good. My mate had an N64, I had a PlayStation. And the competition got fierce. Ironically, the technical jump from PS4 to PS5 is so much bigger than PS1 to PS2 in terms of how many triangles it can throw about or ray tracing, etc. Interesting. I mean, conceptual jump for everything before to PS1 was maybe bigger, but then a technical jump from PS4 to PS5. F-Zero X Dynamite. Hi Kate, man, how you doing? Zach says, I'm not an AI shell grifter, but I think it would probably be an LLM-based AI that bridges the uncanny valley gap from CGI animation to photorealism. Like, if you look at that NVIDIA guy, what he was saying is the future is every frame is going to get generated rather than rendered. And I can totally see that. All we need to do is just wait for the hardware to get up to speed to be able to do that in HD in real time. And I honestly think that's if the world survives long enough that we can keep throwing resources into improving video game technology, right? I reckon that'll be the next sort of line that we cross over. But we'll see how it goes. Isaac as well. I don't promote AI. I'm not for it, but it's like it's right there. And if you're a realist, I agree with you. I know that you're not promoting it, but you're just like observing it and just telling the truth of like how it's going to go. I need to get more into James Connolly so that I know exactly who he is as soon as I read his name. Ian, you look a little like McAvoy. That's cool, man. That's dynamite. Y on top, A at the bottom. They all both point to centre. That's cool, mate. Say that's a good mnemonic. The way the Xbox was on top for one generation is so interesting, though. The leap from the Xbox to the Xbox 360 compared to the PS2 to PS3 felt massive. PS3 just felt so odd. Well, I'd by that point I was playing Half-Life on my desktop computer. All my consoles were in the bin by that point. PS1 was a lot of folks' first CD player. PS2 was a lot of folks' first DVD player. PS3 was a lot of folks' first Blu-ray player. It's no wonder that they were the most popular consoles. I completely agree. And that was a time where a DVD player cost about as much as a PlayStation 2. So if you were a parent and a child was asking you, could I get a PlayStation 2? And it can also play DVDs, made sense to buy it, man. Nintendo couldn't play discs, you know what I mean? Didn't have CD audio quality, couldn't do full motion video. The screen was just blurry for some reason, like they added like a blur on. Don't know what the deal is. 32X never played with. 32X was an ambitious project that I never seen one, never owned one, never played with a 32X. Hammy says, sorry, I meant I literally have the first iToy, the production test, no logos, no acid etching on the plastic, and a 1 written on the base with a marker. It's even got a custom sprayed base by me to match the PS2 stand. That's incredible, man. That's unreal, Hammy. Dreamcast was one of those consoles I wish I had at the time, but it seems like they were only around for about 6 weeks in 2001. My partner at the time's mum was friends with a really rich person, and we would often go over to her house and just like use all her stuff. And her wee boy had a Dreamcast, and that's the only person I know who's had a Dreamcast. It's the only environment I've been in with a Dreamcast. Saturn was good for the Sega Rally Championship, Nights into Dreams, and that's all I know. I might revisit both those consoles via emulation, just to see if there's any games there that might actually be good. However, a lot of these vintage games are good purely for nostalgia, and like few of them are actually good because they're good games. A lot of Capcom fighters had great ports to the Saturn. Nice one. I really want to get back into fighting games. I want to get actually good at Tekken at some point. Just powerbombing fools with King. That would be cool, man. The Space Cadet pinball game for Microsoft Plus, 95. Which was like a big patch for Windows that added stuff it should have had. Aye, that was amazing. We played Space Cadet pinball in tech in high school. Every lunchtime we would just sit in tech. Non-deterministic rendering feels like a QA nightmare. Aye. But their boffins will work on it. I think there would be like an underlying structure. So there will be like polygons and stuff. But then I'd imagine as like a post-production pass, but in real time, it'll be like AI generation. That's how I imagine it's going to go, but who knows? And then on top of that, imagine being able to speak to your video game characters using your voice, and they will speak back to you using, you know, LLM and text-to-speech and stuff like that. Surely that's going to exist in a game very soon. You know, imagine a video game where it's a murder mystery, and you can interview people. Like, imagine L.A. Noire, but instead of dialogue trees and doubt and stuff like that, you're just talking to somebody. Like I talked to Stone Cold Steve Austin or HAL. That's going to be in a video game within 10 years, I would say. It would be easier to do that than it would be to do... Well, maybe not 10 years. It could be in a PC game within 10 years. Depends on the hardware capabilities of... your console, doesn't it? But then for real-time AI video generation at a high resolution, like, it's the only... I don't know if it'll happen, but I think it's the only only next step that I could imagine that would be comparable to 2D to 3D. Redream is a good emulator for Dreamcast. Nice one. I had a Philips CDI. Aye. I didn't play with a Philips CDI, but I remember looking at it in a catalogue and sort of lusting after it. Appreciate the offer. Unfortunately, I've already illustrated Savage Princess 3. I can put you onto folk that want covers, though. I'm pals with plenty of specky devs. Amazing, Keezies. Thanks very much. Legend. That's amazing. Look, everybody, this is the cover art of Savage Princess 3, which is a game that Keezies, who's in chat right now, is the author of. And that is an actual, real working game for the Spectrum. Legend. Look at that, Spectrum game development still very much active in 2025. Our PS2 came with a free copy of Tim Burton's 1989 Batman on DVD. Amazing. All the Batman game adaptations were kind of bad back then. But that's cool that you get a free film DVD with it. PS3 was much more powerful than the Xbox 360, but so difficult to program for. Lessons were learnt for the PS3, and the PS4 and PS5 spanked its competition in terms of sales. Amazing. I ended up watching like an hour-long YouTube video on the Net Yaroze. I don't even know if that's how you say it. Sort of development platform for the PS1. And I never realised that with that the games you made were only really playable on other Net Yaroze things. But then eventually demo discs started including Net Yaroze games. There was a really cool Lunar Lander clone that I think somebody made in Net Yaroze. And there was a 2-player version of it, and it was on a demo disc. It was on a PS1 demo disc, and I was trying to find it later on. But just like very simple, Lunar Lander. You've got like a rocket, and you could like that. And if it's landing, you had to rotate it right. If you didn't rotate it right, it would blow up. And you had like wee puzzles to go around. You had to get to like that bit and like safely land your rocket. I want to play that again. I've looked for it for a bit. Don't know where it is. It was definitely like low budget, single developer, made it on Net Yaroze, submitted it to a video game magazine and got it printed on a disc. But I must have had 1,000 discs. And I've been able to, trying to find it as an adult, just can't do it. But I must have put a fair amount of hours of my life into that game. The Rich Relative story unlocked a memory of mine. My parents knew someone who'd worked for Philips, and they brought round a CDI one time. Even as a wee guy, I knew it was absolutely no good. Fair enough. Like a barcode battler or Sony N-Gage. Sony N-Gage, Nokia N-Gage. I recall the rumour that Xbox with 360 started the war with PlayStation for Blu-ray versus HD DVD, with the intention of losing, but making Sony spend their money on the war. Interesting. When ultimately Microsoft saw the future with digital. Interesting. Worth paying for the upscaling feature, and this payment translates to the Android app. Alright. Worked in video game development for over 25 years now. This year we announced a fighting game, and it's the first one I've ever worked on. Oh, cool, man. That's exciting. I'd love to work at some point on a video game. Even just like for a day. It's one for... I've worked in cinema, worked in telly, worked in short films, done all of that sort of stuff. I'd like to just put some fingerprints on a video game at some point. I'd like to make my own game, ultimately. Like just a low ambition. Like some using GB Studio or something. I want to make a Game Boy game. Maybe we'll do that next year. Roscoe says, going to create a whole new age of horny wee guys. The speaking to AI characters thing. Mate, it already is happening. There's people who have topped themselves because their AI partner got upgraded and now doesn't feel like their partner felt like before. There's folk that are trying to marry their AI people. Oh, that is happening. We're in it already. Pure Blade Runner vibes, man. We're in it. I've recently found my copy of Metal Gear Solid, but I can't find the memory card with the game save just before Metal Gear Rex fight. Can't be bothered playing through it all again. You need to Just play Metal Gear Solid. One great thing about having a physical Dreamcast is that it's incredibly easy to burn copies of games on a CDR that's indistinguishable from the originals. Really? I've heard the Mega CD as well didn't have any DRM protection. That sounds apocryphal. Or what one? Oh, the rumour thing. Right, aye, cool. Now I play Dreamcast games on a little handheld emulator. I paid £25 for it. It's amazing how far we've come, man. Oh, Mad Dog McCree. Mad Dog McCree's brilliant. I'll need to go back and do... Remember James Master? Maybe we'll do episode 1 of James Master over the weekend. With Mad Dog McCree. I'll have a re-go at... Because the last time I tried to do it was a shambles. Monkey Lander. I had a game like that at work PC called Monkey Lander. Alright. I want to know what that lander thing is. It was pretty sure it was PS1. Pretty sure all PS1 demo discs are on Internet Archive. Cool. Mine was it came with a magazine for a UK. I think there were like 2 different PlayStation magazines in the UK. One of them was kind of like cool and cheeky and underground and spoke about modding, and in the back you could have send away and get imports and stuff like that. And the other magazine was very like, I think it must have been the official one. You couldn't talk about anything like that. But it's a PlayStation Plus or something. UK PlayStation Magazine 1990. The official UK magazine. But then there was another one. Oh, this is bringing back memories, man. I had this. Official UK magazine issue 12. I had this, I'd recognise that, recognise this, you go away, recognise this, yep, I had a big stack of these, man. See, before the internet, magazines used to be important. Magazines were very, very, very important to me as a wee guy. Be kicking about John Menzies, just be like that. So there's PlayStation magazine, and I can't remember what the competitor was called, but it was a wee bit more like cheeky. But anyway, that's not how Sony works. Divisions don't always work nicely together, and it's multiple companies under one mother corporation. PlayStation is the most profitable division now, but it used to be insurance. Sony is a huge insurance provider in Japan. Really? See if you know anybody at Sony, Hammy, which I'm sure you do. Could you tell them, just for 1 year, to bring back the Sony Trinitron? Because there's lots of us that really want to buy a CRT monitor, and we can't. And we should be able to. So Sony, just start selling CRT Trinitron monitors again, please. I know that there's other things that you're trying to do to make money, selling insurance, all that sort of stuff. But I want a Trinitron monitor. I kind of need one, right? And just make them. Thank you, Sony. Get the Scorpion engine downloaded, make games for the Amiga and the Mega Drive. Scorpion engine Mega Drive. The thing I like about GB Studio is that you don't really need to code too much. It's all just like visual, modules and stuff like that. But I will have a wee look at that Scorpion engine. Obviously, I don't need a new project right now. But authoring a Mega Drive game would be cool. Did you see I got a gold Mega Drive cartridge shell in the post yesterday, so I'm going to put my MIDI cartridge in that, so there's like a gold shell. It cost me like £2. It's quite exciting. Sean says, I did the ref voices for the Bruce Lee, the mobile game, for a good few years back. It's on YouTube. My friend did all the music sounds. I was pleased it was approved by the Bruce Lee Foundation. What a claim to fame. That's bloody brilliant. I think it was PSX. Right, PSX Magazine UK. Nah, nothing's coming up. Although, here's a post, what is the best PlayStation magazine? Aye, I don't know. I'll have a wee look at this offline. OPM is the official PlayStation magazine. PlayStation Power. I think it's PlayStation Power. PlayStation Power magazine. Maybe, right, I will legally purchase previous editions of this magazine and their demo discs, and when I've legally purchased all of them, maybe we can go through all of them at some point on stream, maybe late night stream, to try and find that Lunar Lander game that I was telling you about for a wee dunt in nostalgia. So this is PlayStation Power. No, I don't know, man. That doesn't really ring bells. I'll have a wee look offline. But welcome to another stream where we're all trying to play What is 1030 thinking about? Here, what am I thinking about? But that Lunar Lander game's kind of cool. Fun fact, the cover discs for the US and UK official PlayStation magazines were actually made for the magazines by PlayStation in those regions each and every month. I would imagine so, because they had the black under thing, like it was an official disc. And correct me if I'm wrong, Hammy, but PlayStation was the one with where the data on the disc was kind of like wobbly, wasn't it? Or something like that. Is that right? As a form of copyright protection. Obviously the black underneath. Last year I found a local shop that had put a bunch of CDI games and movies in their CD selection by mistake, not knowing what they were, and selling them for £4. 4 for £1 or something? I sold them all on eBay to pay the bills when I didn't have a job. Excellent work, Funkle Albert. Excellent work. Used to love a wee Xbox magazine. That's cool, man. Super Rare PS1 is the white video CD version. Oh, do you remember VCDs? I made so much money selling illegal VCDs of Star Wars Episode 1. I'm sure I've several box folders in my parents' attic full of PS2 and N64 magazines. Amiga Power, aye, absolutely. See the back of Amiga Power where like all the places you could send away to. Imagine they restart the Trinitron production line again. I've heard they just can't. They just can't be done anymore. But I think we need Trinitrons. The world's in an awful place right now, and I think what would make it better is if Sony started making Trinitrons again. It'd be like when they tried to bring back Polaroid and they had to reinvent all the tech again. I've got some Polaroid film in my fridge right now. New stuff. There's a real issue with CRTs today. The instructional knowledge, the institutional knowledge has been lost in how to make them well. I'd imagine a CRT will never be made ever again. Because in order to make them, there's like just the practicalities of the cost of scale. Like, the factories you'd need to build all the tooling and all of that sort of stuff. CRTs are never going to get made. But just tell them to make them though. Because I've said. There's also SGDK. Aye, that's the one that I was looking at before. SGDK. Yes, that's the one that I was looking at before. And I was like, I'm not going to... I don't have time right now to learn all of this. Have you seen the program on Steam that turns NES games into 3D? No, Drucifer. Steam NES games into 3D. Check this out, man. So, do you provide the original ROM? So this is not a recreation. This is emulation. But then being displayed. I wonder how it's doing that. I wonder if they've written like special things for every single game. Does it work on every NES game or just a selection? Surely every game's got a fair bit of manual work done to it in order to make this happen, you would imagine. What a cool thing. That's cool. It'd be cool if they added a wee bit of depth of field blur into that, maybe a wee vignette as well. And maybe even some real-time shadows. Oh no, they've got... No, I think that's shadows for the game itself. But aye, what a cool project. That's cool. I've been looking at RetroArch bezels. And there's really cool bezel shaders right now in RetroArch that I've not played with. So this here looks like just a video of a PlayStation screen, but this is actually an emulation. So the screen and stuff like that doesn't exist. It's just a graphical bezel over your emulated game to make it look a bit better. Hold on, there's better versions of this. And what's cool is the light of the screen apparently sort of shines on the outside and stuff like that. Look at that, it looks real. So I was going to fire up RetroArch and try and install some of these shaders, because I think that would look kind of cool on Twitch. Some of them look good. Mega Bezel, I think it's called. RetroArch Bezel shaders is your thing. And some of them look great. I've not found an example of like the nicest ones. So I guess you just need to trust me. But I've been meaning to take some time and get that set up for streaming. Did you see that? Was I showing you the thing there? I don't think I was showing you that screen, was I? Ah, well. Pretty sure most PlayStation magazines and other gaming mags are on archive.org. Fun to browse them, especially to see the ads for back then. iClass. No, it would be good to get a big torrent of all the demo discs. Did the demo discs have a big magazine issue number in the front? I think some of them did. I bought a good few demo discs back in the day, so I can't remember exactly what magazine this one was from. Although, do you remember like Demo 1, the demo disc that came with your PlayStation, like with the T-Rex on it and stuff like that? Oh, it was cool. Tide says, does anyone remember the Net Yaroze for PlayStation, where the OPM demo discs had Net Yaroze collection of games? Well, right, so maybe OPM Net Yaroze Lunar Lander game. Oh ho ho! I think this is it. Haven't played it since 1998, but I found the demo disc with the Net Yaroze game on it, Gravitation. This is it. This is the game that I was telling you about. Apparently Gravitation was put in the last two demo discs for versions 1.1 and 1.3. Not sure if 1.2 also was. That's amazing. So Gravitation, I've spent an hour of my life looking for that game, and you've just given me the words there to help me find it. So Gravitation, PlayStation. Let's see if... Yes, man. Let's see if I've got some footage of Gravitation. Well, wait a wee minute. Is this the same? I think it is the same game. I remember it visually different, but that's probably just because my imagination back then thought that the graphics looked better. Let's see if this triggers it. I think this must be it. By James Shaughnessy, copyright 1998. This is us, man. Doesn't look like much, right? But this was fun. And 2-player. You would be like, you'd get to the very end of the level. I think there was some as well where you had to pick up cargo and stop that for like crashing into things. Oh, fucking... Ugh. Aye. This is bringing it all back. And to land, you need to be like perfectly vertical. Otherwise you'll explode. It felt really good. See the handling, it looks like shit, right? But see just the handling of it and the acceleration and everything felt great. Game feel was brilliant. and the 2-player competitive version of it was great. See, considering it was a wee silly demo game with a single dev, I know there are a million other games we can talk about for the PlayStation, right? And this is a silly one in comparison. But I rated that when I was a wee guy. Me and my uncle played that quite a bit, and I liked it a lot. I'm glad I was able to find that. So thanks for helping us out. Cheers, ICU. Thank you very much. This is the fighting game we've been working on for a couple of years, says Hammy. Let's have a wee look at this. With an amazing Japanese developer, we've been helping out with branding and the menus, MoGraph, etc. A lot of the style ended up in the game too. This is running on Unreal 5. Amazing, man. This looks great. There's something a bit off-putting about seeing film grain and scratches over a video that's 60 FPS. There's something that I was just like, alright. In fact, you've not asked me to crit this, so I'm not going to. Sorry, mate. Sorry. This looks cool, man. That's fucking class. I like the references to like the cells, like the comic art. You know what I mean? Rather than just rendering them realistically or whatever. Ah, that looks dynamite. I'm not into Marvel. But I really like the art style. Sweet. Look at all the background and everything. Look at all like the subtle layers of depth. And if you pause it, it just looks like a beautiful illustration. Excellent, man. Great work. That's cool. I want to get a PlayStation. Trailer's actually made in the US, but we wanted it to feel Japanese. Oh, it definitely does. There was one called Play that had weird shaped Y in the buttons in the cover. Well, I have found it. I've since found it. Graviton on some, so I'm going to have to download that and stick it on my PS1. Got some PS mags on VHS. Nice one. Somehow during house move I lost a box with all my ST format magazines in. Commodore 64 ribbon printer. Ah, Funko, that's heartbreaking, man. That's heartbreaking. Amazing. Art style for the characters is superb. Love them. It's been hard to keep the project secret, even at work, for about 30 months. Well, it's no secret now, mate. You should have told me it was secret. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shown it on my screen there. Oops. Do I need to delete the VOD? No, that's cool, man, that it's like out and you can talk about it. Sorry that you couldn't see the thing that I was looking at. Visualizer with the original demo disc. Oh, aye. And then you could just put in your audio series. That's cool. My favourite cover disc was when the Dreamcast magazine was put the action replay on the demo on the cover. And within a hot second, everyone worked out you could use it to bypass the region lock with a disc swap trick. I still have 3 of them. Amazing. Was that the official Dreamcast magazine, or was that like a cheeky Dreamcast magazine that's like, oh dear, we've accidentally provided you a way of pirating all your stuff? Or, well, region stuff. Jimothy Shaughnessy. I have a 20-litre container of discs for my children to skip. 100%. Gee, Dad, we turned the PS1 on. I've not installed any of the ROMs or anything. Well, ROMs, you know what I mean, disc images, onto the SD card, because I don't want to do that shit on Twitch. Twitch are a wee bit funny about emulation and things. But I turned the PlayStation on, and we saw it here. It booted up, it got through the boot sequence, and it got into the menu of the disc emulator. So I'd call that a success. I haven't thoroughly tested it, but looks to be good. So what I'm going to do off stream is configure a wee SD card and test it out properly on my telly, and Rachel and I can play games. I think the first game I'm going to play on my PlayStation is that Net Yarose Gravitation game. That'd be great. Where are we? Hello, Bally. How you doing? Welcome in. Sony are doing £90 off PS5s now. I bought one yesterday. Amazing. It was the official one, I think, or at least the biggest one. That's brilliant. I love hearing stories about that. Good shout on the ROMs off stream, but delighted it lives. Aye, aye. How cool is that, man? Speaking of disc swaps, that reminds me of Bleem. Yes, I remember Bleem. Bleem got into hot bother, didn't they? It allowed you to play PS2 games. And I think Bleem was about for PS1 as well. Upres on the Dreamcast. Well, I had Bleem for the PC. And then the lawsuits that came after that. And then I think that's the point where Sony got a bit pissy. So there used to be an online shop called Lick Sang. That would sell you. Licksang.com was amazing. It would sell you mod chips. It would sell you like PlayStation controllers that were rare. All sorts of cables, like all the cables that you need. Everything else. And lots of tools and hardware on how to circumvent region protections. I think it was Licksang that I bought my international version of Resident Evil 2 and WWF SmackDown for the PlayStation from. And Sony just shut them down. And I remember feeling that pain in my chest. I remember reading that one day and just being like that. Because I loved this online shop. And that was round about the point that I was like, and I became really angry at Sony. And then any story about Sony after that I read that showed them in a negative light, I was just like that. Because they shut down Licksang. But fair enough, because that shop was selling stuff that made them lose money. So I do get it. But I think it was Bleem that made Sony go, oh, here, wait a wee minute. And that, when that ball started spiralling, a few places were taken. Bleem lawsuit, the Licksang lawsuit, and I think a couple other things where Sony are like that. No. And then, in the PS2, as far as I'm aware, PS2 isn't anywhere near as easy to open as a PS1. In fact, no, it is. The PS2 fat is. You can put your own hard drive in it and shit, can't you? Aye. I've got 3 PS2 Slims over here. Don't know what I'm doing with them. I'll try and punt them at some point, but I've never had a fat, big PS2. Guy who created Bleem is a genius? I'd imagine so. Not heard of that name in ages. Bleem was a big deal. Bleem with an exclamation mark, just like Limmy's show. Bleem, PC, PS1. The new nanite foliage in Unreal looks really good. First video. Bleem, the return of the PS1 emulator in 2025. But not what you think. What do you mean not what I think? What I think is based on the sentence that you've just put before. So, if I read Bleem, the return of the PS1 emulator in 2025, I'm thinking that the emulator is going to return and is back because it's currently 2025. But if it's not what I think, then what are you talking about? Maybe you should have phrased the sentence better at the start. So what is it you're talking about? Is Bleem back or it isn't? So because of that, you are trying to bait me into clicking because you're saying a thing, then you're saying, but just say what the thing is. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ. Oh. But you could play Bleem on Dreamcast as well. Gran Turismo 2 Dreamcast Bleem versus PlayStation comparison. Aye, some of it did look a bit ropey. There were definitely problems in a lot of the games that I was loading. Anyway, this has been very, very nostalgic, folks. Very, very nostalgic. Never heard of Bleem? Aye, it was a big deal. You could buy Bleem. It was a physical product. Wasn't underground or anything. It was a real thing. And you would load up Bleem, and it was just basically a PlayStation emulator. You could play real PlayStation discs, and Sony did not like that one bit. It wasn't brilliant. I have 2 fat PS2s. One came with a memory card, which unlocks copies, and another where you Where you of the... I don't know what you meant to type there, Time Tide. But I've never... I've got 3 slimline ones, and at some point I was going to put the PS2 game library on like a network attached storage somewhere, so that I could have all the... Because I think if you use something called Free McBoot, you can launch a game from a network drive. The other way of doing it is to put your game on a USB drive and put the USB in the front of the PS2. However, the throughput of the USB drive isn't good, and so any full motion video on the game or any music or whatever will skip. So it turns out the Ethernet port on a slimline PS2 has got a far greater throughput. So a lot of people have put their games library on a network attached storage. They launch Free McBoot, which is a thing you put onto a memory card. You don't need to mod the console as far as I remember. So your memory card boots into some interface. Inside that interface you can say, on that network drive there is Resident Evil. Click that, load it, and it will load it from the network faster than it would if it was on a disc. And is a great way of playing PlayStation 2 games. If you've got a network attached storage and a PlayStation with an Ethernet cable capabilities and all of that sounds interesting, there's tutorials on YouTube. It's quite easy to do. You don't need to solder anything or whatever else. I've not got around to it though. If you've got a fat PlayStation 2, another strategy is to just put in a hard drive, and on the hard drive you can boot games from the hard drive. But with the thin PlayStation 2s, you can't do that. You need to either do it via USB, which doesn't work very well, or a network. It's exciting, isn't it? Something different. Hello, B-Dolan, how you doing? They've put up the bat signal. What's going on here? Absolutely nothing, mate. We're just talking about... We're being nostalgic for different video game systems that were about in the 90s. I think I had a disc swap that had a bit of plastic that allowed you to keep the lid open for easy access. Aye, mate. So back right in here, there's a button up here, right in there, and with that button held down, the machine thought the lid was closed. There's different ways you can do that. There is a spring that I used, so the spring would interface with a bit up here. That worked. Or if you've got the inside of a biro pen, one bit of it sort of connects here, and another bit will then push down here. In fact, there might even be biro pen. Yep, I can see some ink. I can see some biro ink on this PlayStation, so I must have used a biro on this at some point. Oh, the memories, man. The hoops you had to jump through instead of buying games back in the day. Absolute memories. There's so many PlayStation prototypes that never made it to market. In San Diego studio, they have a very rare fat PS2 that is top loading. That's interesting. That's cool, man. Roscoe says, the mean bleem, the return of the emulator, but it's actually got an AI voice that tells you to jack off on webcam for free games. Here, everybody, speaking of jacking off on a webcam for free games, have you seen that mad Russian betting sports website? Check this out, man. It's called something like X1. There's a 15-minute video, right? But this is interesting, particularly if you're into your online gambling. Give this a shufty, and when you're watching this, I'll catch up in the chat. This is interesting and fucking freaky. Basically, allegedly, Russia are holding people as slaves, kinda. And for like up to 12 hours a day, they're getting folk to play sport. Only for one reason, so that people can bet on it. But the conditions for these individuals is like fucking poor and weird. Check this out, man. I'll only play like 5 minutes or so and you'll get the gist.
This is called Sub-Soccer. I've been watching it nearly every day for weeks. Not because it's thrilling, it's not, but because of this guy with the orange shoes. He played in a game on April 3rd, then another the next morning, and another right after that. While he scored dozens of goals, I never once saw him celebrate. Because he's not playing to win. Neither are these people playing cricket, basketball, volleyball, water polo, tennis, and table tennis. 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 3-on-3, and 2-on-2 soccer. These so-called frostball players aren't playing to win, nor are the guys playing whatever you call this. They're playing on fake teams with familiar names, in anonymous buildings without spectators, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, solely to give people like you and me something to gamble on. These are sports betting farms.
They had this kind of Squid Game.
You think the world's fucked. You think you're aware of all the ways in which the world is fucked. And then you find something like this, you're like, alright. Cool, man. Imagine your dad was fucking a Russian Fitbus slave that had to play centre back for 12 hours a day for 6 months, otherwise he'd get offed.
Quality to them. Surely this can't be legal.
But they aren't hidden on some...
Stevja, as far as I've found today, I think the PlayStation works. I think I've done it successfully, Stevja. Haven't played a game on it yet, but we booted into the menu screen. As far as I'm aware, it works brilliant.
shadowy part of the internet. They're on a site called 1xBet, probably the most profitable online gambling site ever, and a sponsor of world-famous soccer clubs.
They're the company that everybody else in illegal gambling would really love to be.
So how does a company taking bets on games like these end up
I'll be back in a sec. I'm going to get a drink, but keep watching this. It's interesting.
partnering with clubs like these? The online gambling industry is a lot like an iceberg. A portion of bets are placed on legal sites like DraftKings that follow laws and pay taxes, but the majority are placed on illegal sites that don't. Last year, $23 billion went to legal companies, while $67 billion went to illegal ones, just in the United States. Somewhere in the middle is 1xBet.
All bets on sports.
It was founded in 2007 in Russia, registered in Cyprus, and licensed only in Curacao, but accessible basically anywhere with internet. Initially, it only offered sports betting, but quickly added casino games like blackjack, poker, and slots, then some questionable games. In 2019, UK investigators found 1xBet had a Pornhub casino with topless dealers and took bets on children's sports and even cockfighting. After that, several countries blocked 1xBet, but couldn't stop it. 1xBet set up hundreds of mirror sites to redirect its users around.
When I first saw this video, I thought this might be something that I want to do on stream. I want to investigate this company. I'll sign up on stream. I'll go in on stream with you watching me. All throughout, I'm not promoting the company. I'll tell you that they're shady, right? And I will try and place a bet. You can watch me do it live, and we can look at, what football game's on or whatever, and I'll put some of my own money behind it. I'll make like a cap of 20 quid or something like that. And I'm watching this and I was thinking, this might be a good thing to do on stream to investigate it. Obviously, not to promote the thing, but in a similar way as to why sometimes I'll do a deep fake on stream that I don't think deep fakes are good for the world, or when I did an NFT or things like that, you know what I mean? AI stuff or whatever. I'll experiment with it on stream to for all of us to explore what this is so that we can talk about it from an informed perspective. So similarly with this, I wanted to do a wee bit of research on stream, and then I heard what I think he's just said there. For a while they were doing like illegal animal fighting, and I thought, right, well, fuck that. Even for an experimental test, I don't want to send a penny to a company that at any point has done any illegal animal fighting. So I'm not going to do it. We're not going to do this on stream. Fuck them.
The restrictions to its main site. 1xBet also took bets on some amateur sports, mainly soccer. But in 2020, when the pandemic shut down all professional live sports, it added a lot more. Some were normal, others were bizarre. But at the time, they were the only live sports you could bet on. Reporters at Yasemer were among the first to investigate these fake competitions, but they wanted to know more. Where are they? Who are these players? And is any of it legal? So each episode of Search Party requires a really tight workflow. That's how I go from
Basically, this guy makes good content, so please support him by signing up to all the shit and stuff. Get Notion and all that. Oh, by the way, I think I've got a Notion referral code myself. I'm not going to put it up. Imagine that. Imagine I'm just watching somebody else's content. He advertised Notion. I just pause it, give you my Notion referral code, and then skip beyond the ad. Check this guy out. Use his Notion referral code. Right, good guy. Anyway, let's skip ahead.
Secret Service, the poisonings in Salisbury, the MH17 crash over eastern Ukraine.
Wait a wee second. It took a sharp right turn there. I forgot that all of this was part of it. Aye, they're talking about like Russia fucking stuff up, aren't they?
We can find just about anything. The Russian Secret Service, the poisonings in Salisbury, the MH17 crash over eastern Ukraine.
Ross Higgins works at Bellingcat as an open source investigator, meaning he uses publicly available services like satellites, leaked databases, and even good old Google Maps to find stuff out. In 2023, a Yasima reporter named Philippe Auclair asked Ross for help locating the live streams.
I went and met Philippe in London in a pub, and about 4 hours later, I decided that I really wanted to do this.
This is cool, man. Wait till you see the levels of GeoGuessr shit that they pulled off to find out where these places are.
Over 24 hours, Ross and his team downloaded hundreds of live streams off 1xBet, then scanned them for clues.
What we're hoping for are tons of banners, player names on the back of shirts, any little hook to give us a clue where we can narrow it down.
Some, like the ads surrounding this 4x4 soccer game, were easy, because they're in Russian. Ross's team uploaded a screenshot to the Russian search engine Yandex and did a reverse image search, which turned up this photo. These roller doors match. So do these windows. And these graphics match those in a social media post about a children's soccer game. Confirmation that this sports betting farm is at the Alexander Stepan Football School in Bryansk, Russia.
We figured out
Here, who wants to create a team of mad mercenaries and we go in and we free these football players? He's into it.
it was kind of curtained off into 3 sections because balls were being kicked into other people's games and stuff, and all of a sudden a 2-year-old just toddles on to the pitch.
Shockingly, 1xBet didn't offer any bets on him. Ross's team used this process, called geolocation, to link these banners to the Mordovia Sports Complex in Saransk.
Rather create a 5-a-side go and absolutely smash them. Aye. Just run on, fucking slice a guy.
This mural to the Savoy Arena in Kyiv, Ukraine. And this tennis court to the Avant
One will get a 5s team together.
Club in Minsk, Belarus. Thanks to this Vince Carter mural, it only took me 10 minutes to confirm that the Canadian Beavers were playing the Chinese Dragons in St. Petersburg, Russia. But not every game had easy clues. So Ross turned to the 1,000 volunteers in Bellingcat's Discord channel for help. One used these discolored tent panels to place a soccer game at a venue in Moscow.
Discoloured tent panels. Never, ever underestimate a team of autistic people on the internet with a goal. Fucking discoloured tent panels. Amazing. Amazing. Well done. If you're new to the stream, I am autistic. That wasn't a slight on autistic people. Well, it probably was. I'm an autistic person myself. I can get away with it. I can say that shit. It's fine.
And another used the time, date, and direction of these shadows to place this cricket match somewhere in Western India.
Direction of the shadows. How does it know for orientation? I've never understood that. Like if... Anyway. I suppose they know the time of day, don't they?
Some people are just really talented. They're able to find clues that other people don't pick up on, which is what we're all about, really.
What makes you think they haven't been paid? The second half of the video is saying some of them look like children. Some of them might be there against their will. So somebody will sign up to this, and if they leave, they're not allowed to leave for like so many months or something like that.
Ultimately, Bellingcat linked games to 16 venues, mostly in Eastern Europe. Not so surprising because 1xBet was founded in Russia.
A lot of them have been trafficked as well, so they're kind of trapped.
But strange because it's banned there. Things got more interesting when they looked into the players. This floorball team and this super intense tennis player seem to really care, but most, like my favorite sub-soccer player, don't. Some seem exhausted. One referee was too careless to call this blatant carry foul. It's probably because they're at their jobs, or more likely their second jobs. Philippe, the Yasemer reporter, tracked down a Russian man they called Dmitry,
Gibbs can get his diplomatic passports. Fucking yes, Gibbs, man.
who said he was hired to play football at one farm for about $30 a day. He played 6 or 7 games in a shift that lasted from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., but quit after just a week.
Generally speaking, we're talking about people who just want a job for a few weeks. It sounds like a lot of fun, and I guess for some of them, the reality hits home fairly quickly.
Imagine being the one person who's in it for the love of the game. Just phoning your parents back home. Oh, I'm a professional football player. Aye, I am a professional football player. Yep, we're just about to play Celtic. Where are you? I don't know, man. Some like hut somewhere in Belarus.
And they don't last very long.
Dmitry said games were scheduled around the clock, 7 days a week. And Ross's team counted 1,297 short football games over 24 hours. That's nearly 500,000 games a year of just short football. Dmitry also said he was instructed to never score more than 5 goals in a match, and believed some were totally fixed.
Do you have any sense that these games are rigged?
I'm not sure exactly what the purpose of rigging these games would be so much. What we've been told is that the main purpose of these games is that they're just a very fast turnaround. And it's just this relentless grind to get as much cash out of you as they can.
I don't know that man. Was Bellingcat part of the group that did the Carol Cadwallader stuff for Cambridge Analytica and all of that? Did they do a wee bit of work on that as well?
Possible that not every player is being paid, though. Bellingcat traced this floorball game to a Russian website that listed the player.
Roscoe says it's hard getting a game going. People always pull out last minute. Maybe that's why they had to traffic them in and threaten them. Maybe try that, man. Try trafficking guys in.
Players' ages as young as 14 years old. And I noticed these volleyball players looked pretty young too. A Sports Illustrated report said,
Les Dennis, how you doing? Basically, this guy's claiming that there's a Russian betting company that's setting up lots and lots of different sports games in order for people to bet on. But he's just concerned as to who the people are that are playing in these games and doing a wee investigation to figure out where they all are. But it seems like there's some shenanigans afoot.
South Asian people are commonly trafficked into Russian cricket leagues. But it's difficult to find out more because these players don't work directly for 1xBet. Instead, they work for a handful of companies that organize, stream, and license these games to 1xBet.
New idea. We start a company to organise, stream, and license games to 1xBet because this looks lucrative, man, didn't it? Roscoe, how quickly could you get a team together?
Many of which are also based in Cyprus, making it really hard to judge whether or not they're doing things legally.
These are companies that kind of exist in the shadows. In order to catch them out with anything, you'd have to see what the rules are in any particular jurisdiction. Is a grey area, basically.
Holy shit, Keezy says, I helped someone on Reddit find their grandparents' grave, went through a chain of websites that led me to a gravestone in Clydebank, near Glasgow. Cemetery, misnamed online due to a bit of dirt on the name on the grave, but I led the person right to the grave. That is amazing, Keezies. The internet. Amazing.
Okay, so we've established that 1xBet is making a ton of money.
Radium Skull, not necessarily just rigging and sports gambling, but potentially trafficking hundreds of people and forcing them to play sports for multiple hours a day, for multiple days in a row. So it's not just sports rigging, because in this, there's not really much sense in them rigging the outcome. They just want games. I don't know if rigging would help them in any way.
Streaming these maybe illegal, definitely half-assed amateur games. But I still find it hard to believe that many people are actually placing bets on them.
It's not about the betting on this stuff, it's any content converts.
Ismail Valley monitors the illegal gambling industry. He confirmed that these amateur games generate only a small number of bets, and that 1xBet makes less than 10% profit on them. But 1xBet hosts them because they're really good at grabbing people's attention, a lesson the company learned during the pandemic.
So they started looking for other content, and what they came up with was crazy things like snail racing from Vietnam. And then they found people were clicking on it on social media.
Dolan, Snail Racing from Vietnam, the new album from Bad Faith Actors. Write it down, please.
And betting on it too.
Videos of obscure sports played well on social media too. And by taking bets on them, 1xBet can attract a lot of new customers. Basically, they're clickbait. And once a customer clicks in, 1xBet persuades them to play casino games, where it can make up to a 50% profit.
The whole point of why we did any of this, cross-sell the customer immediately into casino, into poker, into predictors. Now you're in a whole area where you can double, treble your money kind of thing.
Amateur sports also keep customers from leaving. See,
Was reading about gambling addiction recently. Obviously, all addiction is bad, and for anybody going through any sort of addiction, obviously it's important to get help, and my respect towards you and all of that sort of stuff. But I was reading how there's a particular phenomenon with gambling addiction where people can fuck up their lives much quicker than most other addictions. You can create damage that takes decades to repair in a matter of minutes with a gambling addiction. I suppose you can wreck your health, do you know what I mean? You can kill yourself with other addictions accidentally or whatever, but because it's something that I don't really know about. Well, actually, I wasn't close mates with him or whatever, but I'd met a few times a public figure who took his own life, and the reason behind the scenes for that was gambling debts.
casino games are hard to win. They're purely games of chance, red or black. Once a customer loses enough money, they'll lose confidence and quit, unless 1xBet offers them something easier to win. In sports games, one team is the favorite, and the favorite usually wins. So having sports betting is a way to give a customer their confidence back and keep them gambling. The more niche the sport, the more addictive it is.
You'll get a certain type of customer who gets very particular about, I'm really good at that cockfighting stuff, I'm really good at snail racing and children's basketball. So I want more of that content because you feel safer with it.
I mean, to me, it feels predatory, right?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally in gambling, you need to have some knowledge of the sport. How can you have knowledge of table basketball between two random teenagers in a warehouse somewhere in St. Petersburg? It's kind of taking all the fun and sporting element out of any of this.
That ability to draw and keep gamblers in is a big reason why 1xBet features so many amateur sports, and why companies are farming as many games as possible, not only for 1xBet anymore, but for thousands of illegal gambling sites.
You'll see the same feeds that you see on 1xBet in many places. When crime makes money, what does crime do with money? More crime.
So the internet has made it easier than ever to set up an illegal gambling shop. And as shady as they are, it'll be a hard problem to fix. But it gets a lot harder when the world's best soccer clubs are helping them grow even bigger.
Well, you wouldn't get like corruption with FIFA and stuff like that, would you? No, I don't believe that. Corruption on the higher levels of football as well? No.
1xBet isn't licensed to operate in Spain or France, but it has sponsorship deals with FC Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, and Lille, as well as the top division of Italian football and the Confederation of African Football. The trade-off is obvious. 1xBet can offer these organizations more money than anyone else, and these organizations can put 1xBet's brand in front of more fans than anyone else. But the clubs and league...
I've heard stories that would make your toes curl about gambling. Fucking horrible.
seem to be ignoring the growing list of controversies surrounding 1xBet and not asking many questions about it. On Barcelona's website, the club's vice president calls 1xBet a benchmark brand, right above a quote from a 1xBet spokesperson who calls Barcelona a reliable partner. Ross's team looked up this spokesperson named Alex Summers and found this headshot, which actually belongs to a journalist at CNN. This is something FC Barcelona could have easily figured out.
What I don't understand is that surely these football clubs must have some form of due diligence. So who are they speaking to that the public can't get hold of? It all seems to me to be very cloak and dagger.
And it's happening all over the sport, more than ever. In 1999, one club in the English Premier League had a gambling company sponsor on its shirt. In 2025, 11 do. Gambling companies are also the most common shirt sponsors of clubs in the Champions League and the FIFA Club World Cup.
They got rid of booze sponsors on shirts, didn't they? Obviously, you can't have cigarette sponsors in Formula One and things. So, I wonder if we, the public, need to have a concentrated push against gambling, because that's just as harmful.
They also pay millions to advertise on fields and TV broadcasts.
But of course, sport has vested interest in gambling. Like, it's easier for them to disassociate with cigarettes than it is with gambling, because people gamble in sports. So to put a gambling company on the strip, oh, it's all just filthy, isn't it? Nothing. It just, like, never fails to surprise me how we can take something just fun and brilliant, like having a game of football, and then just ruin it. Use it as a tool to do, like, the worst, most fucked up shit ever. Humans we're a special type, aren't we?
Many of these sites operate in the same gray area as 1xBet, but it's easy for them to obtain a license in, say, the UK, sponsor a Premier League club, and get promoted all over the world, even in places they're banned. Illegal gambling is laundering its money through soccer, and it's coming at a steep cost for the sport and for its fans.
Crime has gone full circle on this to basically say, we're not just corrupting sports by offering everybody tons of cash here, we're also corrupting it by just bringing you stuff that you think is sports, but it's not sports. We made it all up.
All right, thanks so much for watching. That's our 29th.
There you go. Follow this guy on YouTube. I'll get you a link. But that looks like, I think, is it Bellingcat? Search Party is the name. And I'll put the link in chat, just because that's the nice thing to do, isn't it? But I saw that, and I'm like, I need to talk about that on stream. That's something, isn't it? Twitch.tv, 1030, that's me. There we go. By Jizo. That's me. There we go. Shush. Here's a link in chat. Here you go. None of my homies work for BetX. Sheesh. None that you know of. Can't get a license in Asia. Can't advertise in Asia, so they use the Premier to show the site names. Interesting. It's all just fucked, isn't it? Anyway. Who do you want to raid? I'm done, man. I don't want to stream anymore. I'm going to bounce. Who can we raid? I think yesterday we got a raid from Andy Lippy. Right? So let's just see. Let's return the favour. And we'll raid Andy back. Let's return the favour. That's a nice thing to do. Listen, everybody, thanks very much for coming in. I might be on later, but maybe not. It's a Friday night, so it would be good to come on and to do stuff. Thanks very much for joining me here today on stream. My name's James Houston, and Houston's Boostin'. I appreciate you watching all my stuff, and that's me done everything that I would like to do, except from the magic trick. Do you want to see the magic trick? Here we are. Here it is. I think that was good. Don't know if that was good. I'd give it maybe an 8 out of 10. Without further ado, let's go over to Andy Lippy. See you later, people. Bye.